Here or there? Where you want me?
That side's better.
That side's better. All right.
that way.
I'll hang with my boys over here. I was trying to be the Lone Ranger on that side. Hey, good morning, everybody. How's everybody feeling? Oh, my God, that's so weak. All right, so one more time. How's everybody feeling? Much better. Now, the cocktails are coming at
Hopefully 4.
4, but not 5:30 is what we had originally planned, so we'll keep everybody abreast on that. My name is Gary Owen. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the president of Owen Insurance Group. Been in the industry for nearly 20 years. We have roughly 500 agents across the state of Florida and throughout the United States. I have 12 field managers, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of my field managers with us today, so glad to have you guys with us. And what I'd like to do is have all of us give us a reason why you're here on a scale of 1 to 5, where you are at on that scale of your knowledge and expertise on annuities. 1, you know jack shit. 2 or 5, you know more than these guys know about annuities. So I'd like to kind of gauge the room where we're at with that. So introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, how long you've been in the industry, on a scale of 1 to 5, where you're at on the annuity side. So let me show you how to do that. Lori?
I'm going to start.
Gary Owen, 20 years in the industry, Stuart, Florida. And my number on annuities would be 2.5. All right, go ahead, Lori.
Laura Gaines, Northeast Florida Field Manager. I am 0 because I'm negative jack shit on annuities.
Well, we're glad you're here. So.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Doug Hoagland, I'm with Hillcrest Insurance, roughly about an hour from here. Might as well say Orlando. I've been in the industry 9 months.
Oh, welcome, brother.
I'd say maybe scratching the bottom of a 1.
All right, all right.
Lee Moskowitz, Owen Insurance Group, work for Gary, we're right next door to Gary, my office is right next to Gary's. Been doing this for about 6 years, and my knowledge of annuities is probably about 2.5.
Okay, great.
Copycat.
Yeah.
My name is Carlos. I am 15 years in the insurance yard and from Palm Beach County, and we are 0.
0. Okay. 0.
Okay.
Got it.
Me, Regina.
Yeah.
We live in Boyne, and I don't recall how long I've been in insurance, but I think about 7 years. 9 years? Okay. So.
Working on 10.
10. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it was yesterday, but time flies. And we don't know anything about annuities, so we're
Okay.
just learning.
Glad you're here.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Awesome. Perfect. Yes.
BB.
I'm Brian Barrett. I'm a field manager out of Southwest Florida with Owen Insurance Group. This September 24th, 7 years in the industry, and I've written 5 annuities over those 7 years, so about 2.5, I'd say as well.
Yeah, that's a good number for today.
I'm Darius Schroeder, owner of Stone Creek Senior Health in Ocala. I've been in the industry right at 20 years. I know a little about annuities. I'm here with one of my new agents that's almost here, because I want to get him wrapped up in annuities, and I'm looking to retire.
Is that Steven?
Yeah.
Okay.
He says the show at 9 o'clock due here.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Karen?
Karen Jones, I'm with Owen Insurance Group as well. I've been in the business about 7 years with Gary's group, about 3 right now, and probably about a 2.5 to 3 on the annuity side.
Cool.
And from Port St. Lucie.
I'm Orlando, been in the business for over 15 years, from Lauderdale. I'm going to see on a scale of 1 to 5, I'll go 1.
All right. Robin?
Robin Quigg, Clearwater, Florida, and I've been in the business about 7 years, 2 with Gary's FMO, and I would be on a 1, maybe just from reading, not having sold any annuities.
Tom Bouvier, field manager with OIG, from Fort Pierce, Florida. Probably 2. I've written 3 annuities, but they were all the simple, flexible annuity. I mean, like a savings account, you just add to it. So you got to learn about that if you don't know.
The lovely Alicia.
Yeah, all right.
I'm Alicia Carvalho. I've been licensed for a little over 4 years. Didn't do anything with it. throwing myself in now. I'm with OIG. I'm on the negative end of the number scale, like a -1.
Curtis Maples, one of the field managers at OIG. I've been in the industry for over 10 years, but with OIG for 1 year and 1.
There's a lot of ones in there. It's a lonely number.
There you go.
Saeed,
Oh, Saeed Mudaris. I've been in the insurance business about 48 years.
is that all?
Yeah.
A newbie.
48 years, yeah. And I've been regarding the numbers. I'm still learning, so I guess I don't want to say what it is. I'm going to find out today after I go through this. But it is I'm still learning what it is. So I'd probably say 3, 4.
Okay.
Joe Schoonover, I'm also with Owen Insurance Group out of Stewart. Sitting just down the hall from Gary Davey. I'm probably the newest one here. I've been doing this. Tomorrow will be 6 months.
Okay.
And so my knowledge is a little bit 0.
Okay.
Can't even spell it.
All right. There's 2 ends.
And the Y. You always got to add the Y. Jonathan.
Jonathan Shelton of Insure Health Partners. I'm going on 6 years in the industry as a whole, and I'd probably say that my knowledge for annuities is a solid 1.5.
There you go. He's solid.
Man, solid.
I'm Danielle with Insure Health Partners, assistant to Jonathan here, and I would say I'm probably I was at a 0 probably like a month ago, but I might be a 0.5 now.
All right.
Jonathan explained, so.
The $2 million producer. Go ahead, sir.
Tim Hoppus, field manager, Tampa, Florida for Owen Insurance Group. Been in business about 12 years this time, and I would say I'm close to a 4.
All right.
2.5.
All right. So we have Stephen. So Stephen, tell us who you are, where you're from, and how long you've been in the industry, and on a scale of 1 to 5, where you're at on your knowledge of annuities. 1, you know nothing. 5, you know more than these guys.
Yeah, sure. Steve Tepsick, independent shop under MCC brokerage, called Tepsick Insurance. I've been in the insurance industry for a little over 3 years. Insurance knowledge or annuities knowledge is next to nothing.
All right.
In the middle back.
All right. Oh, Dan Sawicki.
Where? Daniel Sawicki, I live in Lighthouse Point. I actually got my license back in 2008 and worked for different companies, Cleveland Group, and Colonial Life, and finally finished with the group. Yada yada yada. Got into the Medicare senior when I turned senior, and mainly because of all the questions you need to know, I figured, well, if I'm going there, I need to find out. So I took courses in Social Security and Medicare, and got involved with Owen. Came down to Boca. There's a little Owen show, I guess you call it. And as far as annuities, to me, it was always a dirty word. Everything I heard about since I got my license is stay away from annuities. It's good for the agent, but bad for the person getting it. So that's what I'm at.
So then you're at a 0, goose egg, right?
Yeah.
All right. All right. How many do we have virtually right now, Iggy?
6.
All right, so for those of you, the 6 of you that are watching this morning, thanks for being with us. Hope you take some great notes, good knowledge. We've got great presenters today, and I'll let Steve take it from here, introduce our carrier partners as well. Thank you, guys.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. All right. So, Steve Rohrig, first of all, thanks for being here. Do appreciate it. This is awesome, full room. Love the learning, love the idea sharing. I'm Steve Rohrig, I'm the AVP of training. So I've been at SMS for 9 years now. So I work with Alan behind the scenes, as well as our life and long-term care team. But prior to joining SMS, I was at Mutual for 19 years. And part of those years, I was actually on the annuity design team where I worked with the actuaries designing annuities. So, but before we get started, I need a little participation here. So if you can all stand up, okay, please. I need this side of the room to do this with their arms, okay? And if you guys could do this, all right, I'm gonna take a picture. All right, there we go. I told my wife I wouldn't get a standing ovation, but now I've got proof that I can do that. So you can all sit down now. So.
That's so good. Oh, I love it.
Oh, all right. So anyways, I'm going to introduce Alan first, but I just also want to allow our sponsors and carrier partners to introduce themselves. But before we do that, I'm going to allow Alan to introduce himself, who he is, and his team.
So my name is Alan Frisbee. I'm with Wendy Swanson. We are a team of annuity marketers at SMS. I've been in the industry for a long time, 25 years in the field, and then I sold my book of business, took a couple of years off, did some work over in Africa, doing some housing projects and agricultural projects, came back to the United States. Well, I wasn't over there, I was just visiting over there, but then came back and I got introduced to senior market sales, the products that they had, and I thought I'd love to help agents out with their business. And so with Wendy and myself, Wendy is a nerd, and she'll be the first one to admit it. She knows so much about annuities. So with us as your team, products she's great with, I'm great with some products, and the knowledge in the field, helping you explain to your clients, helping you understand annuities yourself so you feel comfortable explaining them to your clients. That's what we will do for you. So you all should have my card. If you have any questions, just let me know. One thing I would suggest is if you have a separate piece of paper that you have on the side, and if anything you hear in this 2-day brings the attention to one client or a couple of clients that you think they would be, well served knowing about this, write their name down, write, whatever it is that triggered that thought, and then we can discuss it later. Okay?
Awesome. Thanks, Alan. So also too, interactive. You have questions, let us know. We're all here to learn and learn from each other. And so idea sharing is going to be an important part of it. It's just Alan and I talking all day long. It's going to be not a fun time for anybody. So also too, want to thank our sponsors for their sponsorship. Without their funding of this event, we could never done this. And number two, their time to come down here, be with us for the next day and a half is a huge deal for us. So where we are in the landscape, SMS, we call it IMO, so we're an independent marketing organization. We're the go-between between the agent and our carrier partners. So it's an important role that we feel that we don't take for granted, but also too we want to give our carrier sponsors the time as well. So Alan's kind of the marketer. So he's the guy on the phones putting case consultations, product placement, those whole things, trying to find the best solution for your situation. I'm behind the scenes, so I don't really talk to you on the day-to-day except for a few of the programs I support. But with that, I'm going to start with Betty, just because she has a game she wants to introduce. So Betty, if you could stand up and tell us about your game. So, yeah.
Oh, I was hoping I get to say how long I've been in the industry.
Oh, no, do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
I want to hear your knowledge of annuities.
Your knowledge of annuities.
So, I'm Betty White, not the actress, so I'm sorry if anybody's disappointed there isn't a hologram of a golden girl here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go with me. But I've been in the industry, I've been in the financial industry for 20 years.
Okay.
I've been in insurance for 10 years. And I've been with Mutual of Omaha working with annuities for almost 2 months now.
Yeah.
So I'm brand new, and being brand new, I know that you're going to be introduced to a lot of concepts and ideas and words and phrases that you might not have heard before. So I made a game for all of us, well, all of you, I'm going to but it's called Annuity Lingo Bingo. And the rules here are, well, you've got your free space here for annuity in the middle. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna write the name of a person who says the term, like say, return of premium. You're gonna write a person's name in that box. You can use people's names twice. And when you get bingo, you can yell it out, and I will send you a Mutual of Omaha shirt. You can let me know your size and what color you want and everything like that, so.
Is that the first bingo?
What's that?
The first bingo.
Yeah, the first bingo.
Yeah.
The first bingo, and it's gotta be today. I don't think we'll have any problem getting there.
No.
Okay.
But I'll go ahead and pass.
Yeah, pass those down.
I'm gonna help
yeah,
her.
Yeah, perfect. Okay.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Yeah, just the presentation, or if it comes up in conversation, or, yeah. So, but with that, Jake. Yeah.
Yeah, Jake Wilderman, Nationwide Financial from Long Island, New York. I've been in the industry for 10 years. I've been in this role at Nationwide for about 2, so I've had some pretty vast experience. I've worked on the annuity side basically my entire career, starting out in the advisory annuity space and then pivoted to the fixed index and structured annuity space with Nationwide in my role here. Great partner with SMS. My presentation will be going a little bit more in depth with some of our fixed index annuity strategies, so I do feel like I'm going to get a lot of the buzzwords on this bingo sheet if we don't get to it at that point. I'm really excited to be here. Again, love your great presentation, want to make it interactive, and again, should have a lot of good content today.
Awesome. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
And then Alex.
Save the best for last. I'm Alex Sales. I'm with the Big Annuity. Been in the industry for 5 years, all of it with Athene. Been the #1 carrier pretty much the whole time I've been with them, so it's been a real nice ride for me.
Awesome.
I work with these guys pretty much all the time as well, which has been mostly good.
Yeah. Yeah. Alex and I do a lot of these trips together, so we've gotten to know each other pretty well. So once again, thanks to our carrier partners and your sponsorship. So North American could not send a representative to be with us. However, they are sponsoring, and they were trying to get them on at 1 o'clock tomorrow for a virtual call with their representative. So looking forward to that. So here's our agenda. So first of all, before the agenda, there should be a packet. So the packet, there are some things you can use this week as we learn. So during the MIGA section, I may have you pull out the MIGA guide just to follow along. There's always a risk to showing people the packet because they spend half the time reading the packet versus listening to me, but that's okay. We're all here to learn. But there's a sales kit in there. There's a sequence of returns, which Alan will go through. There's the core brochure, which we'll go through tomorrow. There is actually a suitability form. So we will not cover suitability during our the next couple of days, but it is important. So we just basically hijack the NAIC, the 12 suitability things they look at, and put on a piece of paper so you can read that at your own leisure. So here is the agenda here. So we had breakfast, and we're going to do the annuity landscape. So a lot of new people to annuities, so we're going to open up with basically an introduction. So about an hour or so, just taking people through the nuts and bolts, but also introducing a MIGA. So I always say, if you've never sold an annuity, find somebody you know, your neighbor, your loved one, a friend, and just start with a MIGA, right? A MIGA, you can't really go wrong. There are a lot of moving parts. It's basically a rate for a set period of time, and then kind of gradually move up the hierarchy to maybe a trigger strategy, and then maybe a full-fledged FIA or FIA with an income rider, things of that nature too. And then Alan's going to come up and elevate our learning to the 201. So anything you want to say about that, or give a sneak preview?
To the what?
The 201. Yeah.
201. Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't.
yeah.
Yeah, so the fixed index annuity has a few more moving parts, but it is easier to understand than you may think. People get a little bit nervous about the fixed index annuity. I'm going to kind of break it down a little bit of how it works, and then we'll go through that. So hopefully, again, interactive. If there's something that you need more clarification, raise your hand. We want you to get the most out of this as possible, so don't hesitate to interrupt. We're fine with that, okay?
All right, and then we'll break for lunch. So I believe lunch is where we had breakfast today, so this is your chance to, mingle with Alan and with the carrier partners, whether it's Jake or Betty or Alex, and just use that time to your advantage to ask some questions and to talk amongst ourselves. And we'll come back at 1 o'clock, and we're gonna have our very first carrier presentation, starting off with North American, or excuse me, Nationwide, sorry, Jake. Go through his slide deck, and then Betty. Then we'll wrap up the day with sales concepts. So the idea with sales concepts is to really highlight maybe where the carrier sponsors fit, whether it's an income or an accumulation play or a legacy play. So whatever that strength is, we can plug that in. So then, as Alan said, if you see people that you're going to be meeting with, especially during AP, and if it recognize opportunity, that kind of where to go on that. And then also too, happy hour, trying to nail down the time. It's either going to be 4 o'clock or 5:30. Either way, we'll all get together right out here for some drinks and socialization. And by then, Chris McDonald, who is our vice president, who is in the area, the president's got him doing a couple other things today, but he'll join us here around 6 o'clock, and then he'll be with us tomorrow as well. So looking forward to having Chris. And then tonight we'll on your own, and then we'll meet again for breakfast, and then we're going to go through the SMS program. So tomorrow morning, Chris will go through kind of who SMS is and how we're tied in with Alliant and kind of the history of that. Chris has been with SMS for 19 years, so he has a real grasp of the history of SMS, but also then kind of promote things of non-product, whether it's workshops, producer programs, marketing, things that we can offer above and beyond just product to you. And then Alex will come up and go through a theme, and then we're going to have a really fun exercise called Objection Busters. So it'll be a group exercise, be interactive, be fun. I know at dinner last night we talked about the objections you hear out there, so hopefully get you in a position to, with strength and confidence, identify those objections and take them head on. And then we're working on having North American, and then we'll wrap up around 2 o'clock tomorrow. So we're excited, full day of learning, day and a half of learning. So as I said, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. So I'm just going to open up and talk about the annuity landscape, because I know many of you are Medicare agents, and we respect that, and that's awesome. But hopefully there's an opportunity to maybe cross-sell into annuities and maximize those face-to-face appointments, because when you're out there on the Medicare market working with people every single day, there may be some opportunities that may uncover just by asking a few questions, the awareness of what they're going through, and just having the confidence to present that. So how many would agree that there's some Medicare disruption going on right now? All right. What are you seeing, Gary? We talked about Part D last night at dinner.
Part D, MAPD, Medicare supplement, medical loss ratios, rate stability, instability.
Correct, yeah. A lot of instability right now. So obviously, the bread and butter of SMS and the bread and butter of the own insurance agency obviously is Medicare. But also too, we're not saying that there's not disruption on our side. It's our side, the financial side, whether it's annuities, long-term care, life insurance. But also too, it's an opportunity to kind of just look at what's out there and maybe reinvent yourself to talk about other things besides just Part D and MA and all that. So opportunities to diversify your practice, more solutions, and also too, we want sticky clients, right? We want clients to be with us year in, year out. So the more products you can place in that household, the stickier they're going to be, and the more referable you're going to be, and the more opportunity. Also too, annuities pay pretty well, don't they? So depending on the annuity, it's up to maybe sometimes 6 or 7% commission, depending on the annuity. So a great opportunity to not only diversify, but maybe put some more money in your back pocket. So right now we are in the annuity boom. It's a great time to be in the annuity business. Record sales, I think the last 4 or 5 years in a row, quarter after quarter, grow year after year. We're going to go into that as well. But this was actually an article that actually Wendy sent out to us earlier this year, basically saying it's just the beginning and why the winners will be the golden age of annuity. So LIMRA is the Life Insurance Marketing Research Association. They do all the market research, sales research for our industry. But as you can see here, 2024 was a record year So hopefully we have this groundswell of interest out there. Sales were up 12%, and then 2025 looks to continue the trend of increasing annuity sales. So anything you want to add there, Alan?
No, it is actually the golden age because annuities work with a lot of different pieces. Interest rates are high.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Carriers are getting more relationships with index creators. So the people, the JP Morgans, just all the people who are putting the indexes together are fantastic. The diversification, everything that you can add onto an annuity, just make it great for your clients. Especially, you guys are working with a perfect market. Seniors are the perfect market for annuities. So this is a good time to be here and a good time to sell annuities.
Awesome. So, all right. So why is this the golden age? Also, too, we're going to go through some of the things that we're seeing out there. And these are the things that we look at on a day-to-day basis. And so want to maybe bring those to you. But these are the things we sort through, work with their carrier partners in terms of marketing, pricing, opportunities. Where's the market going? Where do we feel it's going? So we can be in front of the market and capitalize on these important things. So Alan did mention interest rates. So when I came to SMS back in 2016, where were interest rates 10 years ago? They were at basically the bottom, historically the lowest you can go, 0.25 on the Fed funds rate, because it was the 08 financial crisis. It was actions from the Federal Reserve, and really just brought down interest rates for actually a really, really long time. So 8, 9, 10 years of just bottom barrel interest rates. And then finally, a little bit pre-COVID, now post-COVID, interest rates have come up, which if you're buying a house, probably isn't the best time to have high interest rates, but if you're selling annuities, it's a great time to have high interest rates, because what it does, it offers our pricing actuaries, it gives them more what we call raw material. So it gives them more opportunities to work with these interest rates to give more back to the clients in terms of higher interest crediting or interest credits or participation rates. So all those things that benefit the clients a lot of it has to do with because we've got this historically kind of in the middle, not 1970s interest rates or early 80s, but historically the last 20 years, some really, really solid interest rates that gives us favorable pricing, which makes annuities obviously very attractive to the buying public. The stock market. How many people follow the stock market? Where is it at so far this year? I mean, NASDAQ, it's up, right? S&P, the Dow, it's up. But where was it back in February, March? It took a dive, right? It took a quick dive and it came right back up, just like it did in March of 2020 with COVID. So the idea here is we'll get into some of the selling strategies, but we follow the stock market closely because of a lot of the indexes we have. Mainly the S&P is going to be an index. Obviously, there's some proprietary indexes that follow other things. But the idea here is that the stock market does allow people to accumulate money for retirement and wealth for retirement and grow their savings. But it also, too, when they get to retirement, maybe it's a chance to maybe de-risk and seek out some safe money options and to kind of remove that side of the equation for a portion of their money. And that's where annuities fit, is a lot of people some more predictability and stability in terms of the stock market. So obviously having a stock market that goes up every single year is important, but also too, it does have short-term volatility. Social Security, I got a slide here coming up. How many people follow Social Security? Why do you guys follow Social Security?
Because I collect it.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. No, everyone pays into it, right? You guys, if you're working for yourselves, 12.4%, MI 6.2%, but you pay money to every single year. So it's important to get that back. So what else are you seeing about Social Security?
Key part of retirement plan.
It is, yeah. And so one of the concepts is the income floor concept, which we'll go through later today, but building on Social Security. So what makes Social Security such a unique asset out there in terms of the retirement spectrum?
Guaranteed income.
Guaranteed income. What else has guaranteed income? Annuities, there you go. So people are, if they like their Social Security, then they're going to love annuities, right? So we're trying to get people to warm up to the idea of annuities. So Social Security, it impacts nearly, I think, 95% of retirees receive some type of benefit, whether it's a spousal benefit, widow benefit, or their own benefit. It does impact everybody. It is COLA adjusted, so here in October we'll get the 2026 COLA. It is backed by a government promise. We all pay into it, so it's an important part of our system. And this last week, it turned 90 years old, right? So I don't know how many people. I put a snippet you'll see, but from the Social Security Administration, many of us got an email talking about what's going on there. So speaking of what's going on there, what about solvency within Social Security? What are you guys hearing about that? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, true. So it's all based on demographics. Basically, that worker to employee ratio has gone from 15-1 in the 60s down to about 3-1, soon to be 2-1. So it's just less people paying money into it. So for many, many years, it did operate at a surplus. But unfortunately, we're tapping in that surplus at a rate where about 2034, that surplus will be gone, and then we'll have to just rely on the payroll tax moving forward to pay out Social Security. That being said, it's about a 20% predicted reduction of income for retirees after 2034. So hopefully Congress will get its act together. It could be a combination of increased taxes, reduced benefits, what have you. But it's also the third rail of politics, right? No one ever wants to talk about Social Security because if they do, then their competitor will use that against them in terms of the election. Yeah, Brian.
Just want to make sure I've interpreted what I've read and what you're saying.
Yeah.
So as of right now, what's on the books in 2034, if you hit full retirement age, you're going to max out at 80% for your Social Security.
Yeah, so what's going to happen is, so in the absence of congressional action, the surplus as we have it today will be gone. It'll be used up. And so we have to rely on just the payroll tax moving forward. So if you take the population projections and the wages and earnings based on the current structure, would be enough to pay about 80% of that. So of benefits. So we're going to talk about here fixed income in here in a moment, but just think about people getting a 20% reduction in their pay. Now, this is me talking. I know, probably being recorded. This is not SMS. This is not a carrier. I do think that if and when Congress does something, they're going to protect people who are receiving benefits. So I don't think they're going to cut benefits. So they'll probably draw the line at a certain age and say, okay, if you're above this line, then you'll just go on as usual. If you're below a line, that way you can make adjustments to your lifestyle and whatnot. So, but anyways, it is interesting to see. We do have a tool to allow people to talk about Social Security and to maximize their benefits. I'm going to brag on Nationwide. Nationwide's got a Social Security tool as well. So, there are tools out there to help people with that. We're talking about workshops here in a moment. Social Security is a very common workshop topic as well. So just the idea of Social Security, because it's guaranteed, because the income forward concept, just to have a workable knowledge and the fact that people have an 8-year window to receive benefits, whether it's spousal benefits or combined or their own benefit. It really is important, and we don't want people to have regret. They want people to choose what's going to be the best for their situation. So Social Security is something we feel because it's the foundation of the income plan. Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
But you know what's not going to get a 20% discount in 2034?
I know.
Annuity income.
True. There you go. Yeah, absolutely. See, there you go. So he's already one step. Add that to your
No. That was good.
That was very good. So excellent. So that's why we're all here, right? Legislative influence. So actually at Mutual, I did 2 years on the advanced markets desk many years ago. So once you get it plugged into the legislative, following legislation, you kind of never leaves you, right? So some things have happened here. Secure Act, it's been probably 5-6 years now, but that really reduced the beneficiary options down to basically a 10-year window. So right now, with the passing on the assets, we'll talk about demographics here shortly. But just think about the amount of people, the amount of dollars that are in qualified plans. Qualified plans, the IRA started in 1974, 401k started in 1980. So just think it went from zero now over like $30 trillion are in qualified plans. So a pretty significant growth, but that's where people are saving their money, right? Because they're all in, through employer plans and through these IRAs and whatnot. So Secure Act reduced the payout for beneficiaries to a 10-year window for many beneficiaries. So just allowing people to work on those as well. And then finally, the one big beautiful bill, right? So I got a slide coming up here, but one of the big, beneficiaries of the big bill, bless you, is middle income retirees. We're going to go into those here in a moment. So just as you're out there talking to your prospective clients and prospects, many of them may actually benefited from the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. So also to RMD age. What's the current RMD age? 73. And then once you're born after 60, then what is it? 75. So I got in business, it was 7.5 for many years, okay? So then Secure Act 1 changed it to 72, and then Secure Act 2, you now have two. It's 73 if you're born before 60, and then it's 75 after 1960. So, but also too, we do a lot of income planning, getting people to maybe think about non-traditional withdrawal patterns. Do you think the government's doing people a favor by delaying that RMD age, or what do you think their motive is for that? It's their benefit, right? We call it RMD compression. So the older they get, the more their balance grows within their IRA and 401k, but also life expectancy factor goes down, so their RMDs go up because they're not making money at the 10 and 12% tax bracket. They're making money, the government, the 22, 24, and beyond. So they're forcing people into those higher tax brackets. So just something to consider there regarding RMDs. So innovation. So we've seen a lot of innovation in our space, and this is great to the credit actually of our carrier partners. They're ones doing the technology, the investment, the ease of business, the product enhancements. So it's a very competitive market, and everyone's kind of doing their part to stay on top of things. And now AI is a big influence. Not sure where we're going to land with AI, but I know that it's going to be a big influence in our space as well. But just innovation overall. I know we use Firelight as a way to submit business electronically. So I see that as a way to innovate and to really speed up the speed of play and to make it better for agents versus having to fill out a paper app and whatnot. So the idea there is to get your cases issued faster, more efficiently, and more economically, so that you guys, your clients have their product in place and you get paid. Go ahead.
So the one thing I'll say about Firelight is when we were doing paper apps that came in, about 22% of them were not in good order, which means they need to have corrections, go back to the client, get new signatures, which we all do not like doing, resubmitting them. Since we went to Firelight, it's less than 1%. So Firelight is a great tool because number one, it's intuitive. If you are writing an application, and I'll give you an example, I had an agent in Florida, his brother from California was visiting. They put the California address, the non-resident form populated into Firelight, filled in the information, they didn't have to think about it. So it all came in. Application was in good order, and 2 weeks later, issued. So Firelight, definitely use it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
What type of apps are you using Firelight?
Annuity apps. It's only for annuities.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's an SMS tool that we have access to?
It is an SMS tool. Firelight is also a tool that other carriers have on their sites. We recommend that you use the SMS site because when you use the SMS site, it comes into our system right away. Our new business team can get right on it, and our case managers know it's there. So sometimes it takes a few days to get swept into our system when you do it on the carrier site. So this is just, again, the speed of play is better when you just go through the SMS site. Okay.
Yeah. All right, so tomorrow we're going to talk about our producer programs or marketing programs. But just by a show of hands, how many of you use workshops as a way to educate your clients or to prospect? Quite a few, okay. So what topics, what do you use? What do you use now? So,
So what workshops are you using?
yeah. Or topics or what?
Two different workshops. I do a retirement workshop, which focuses on Social Security, taxes, inflation, marketplace, healthcare.
Okay.
And I also do Medicare workshops.
Very good. Yeah. So, you use it for prospecting generally, or do you use? Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Any specific marketing firms you work with, or?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. You don't need to disclose that.
Acquire Up.
What's that? Oh, Acquire Up. Got it. Okay.
Marketing Response. Those-
Yeah, they're local. They're out of Tampa, so obviously working with local vendors is important. So, Robin, do you do workshops? Workshops? Do you do workshops? Yeah. Okay. Brian, what do you do in the area of workshops?
So I do Medicare 101s.
Yeah.
Use Acquire, lead gen, Acquire Up.
Very good.
Mostly Medicare and a little bit of Social Security.
Okay.
So, works.
And Karen, you raise your hand? Medicare, okay. So you guys do it restaurant style, works, libraries, what do you guys, a little bit of both? Libraries, okay. So, both, okay. So, and then workshops, Medicare, we talked last time.
Medicare, restaurants, 55 plus communities.
Yeah. So anyways, obviously COVID, people couldn't get together. I did introduce kind of the virtual workshop concept, which up north works great because you can do one in January, February, not have to worry about people driving on the ice to your workshop. There are some firms that still promote that, but I think we're getting back to the in-person workshop, face-to-face, and we're seeing a lot of good traction in that space, and we can support you in many areas, whether it's content or marketing or technology, what have you. So if you want to get a break into that, let us know. We can help you there. So it is interesting. We do work with a number of the vendors. The number one topic right now, because it leads into my next topic here, is estate planning. So estate planning is the number one topic out there, followed by taxes and retirement. I mentioned earlier the 401k. We see people that are highly concentrated within tax-deferred assets, so sitting on this tax time bomb. So just getting people to think about ways to diversify their tax burden and to maybe reduce that tax bill in retirement. So. And then finally, probably the biggest thing impacting our business is demographics. So in my 19 years at Mutual, part of the years I sat next to actually the person that did all the market research at Mutual in terms of market research. But anyways, he told me one time, I was much younger at the time, he said, if I can teach you one thing about really marketing in general, is everything is driven by demographics, right? So whether it's the rise of retirement centers or the minivan back in the 80s. Those are all demographic driven because of the boomers. So the boomers is it's a wide range, right? 46, 64. So the trailing edge of the boomers now are approaching age 60, 65. In fact, for the next 3 years, more people are turning 65 than any other time in the history of the United States. And they'll probably not go back there. So we do it called Peak 65. The silver tsunami is what you may have heard it referred to as. But it just, we talk about the number of sales. Well, it's obvious not only based upon economic conditions, but just in the buying public. There's more people out there at a great age to buy annuities. In fact, that came up at dinner last night too, in terms of what is a good age to buy annuities. Once again, this is Steve talking. Maybe the carrier partners have different ideas. I would probably say 50 plus, 55 plus, people trying to move their 401k dollars or readjust their savings for income, either income now, income later, but also to protect those savings from volatility. Because of, we'll get into a little bit of tax, not too much on my section, but there is a 10% penalty if you take it out too early. So, for a 30 or 40-year-old, probably don't really see it as a common option at younger ages. So. Also, too, the rise of women. I see a lot of women in the room, which is awesome. I love the fact that we're attracting women to our business, which has normally been male-dominated. But think about the women market out there. So what happened in the early 70s that's really maybe adjusted things from a societal, here in the United States?
Title IX.
What was that?
Title IX.
Title IX, yeah. Title IX, you see it with women's sports. But also, too, just that's when a lot of women enter the workforce. So you have a lot of women that were able to build up their own wealth on their own efforts, right? So beyond that, women are also double inheritors. So what do you mean? What do you think we mean by double inheritors? Gotcha. I like it. I like it. 2 husbands. Yeah, very good. Is Florida a community property state or not?
Husband and parent.
Yeah, husband and parents, exactly. So if you look at the data, demographically, women outlive men by about 6 years. And so what happens is they inherit the money from mom and dad, but then also too, because they outlive their spouse, they inherit their spouses and plus their own wealth. So women are going to be a very integral force from a consumer perspective. So a lot of carriers are becoming more women-centric. I believe Athene Connect has some women-centric topics out there to better communicate and to just be a better advisor to women in general, because their needs and what's important to them is different than men. So never assume that the male is the dominant person in that buying household, because it may or may not be the case. So the rise of women is going to be very, very important. In fact, they said by 2030 that women are going to control like well over half the wealth in the United States, just because of the way the demographics are lining up. So, and then finally, the great wealth transfer. What are the estimates you're hearing for the next 20 years? 60, 84, maybe 100 trillion. I mean, the numbers are astonishing. The amount of wealth that will get transferred down from one generation to the next. And so being in line to help those survive, those beneficiaries with some pretty significant financial decisions, maybe an opportunity to retain assets and so wealth transfer is a very, very real thing, and it's going to impact a lot of people in terms of.
What was the amount you said?
4 trillion.
4 trillion. In the next round?
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Yeah. In the next round?
Look at right now, there's control about 60% of the wealth in the United States. So as they pass on, I'm a millennial. No, I'm Gen X. And go to millennials. So millennials will become then the new economic power of the United States, just under and the amount of wealth control. The reason why it's going to skip me is because in my case, like both my parents are gone, so the opportunity for this, it's just not there for my age group. So, all right. So
can I just add something to that?
Yeah,
so there was a sales opportunity right there that you have all of these clients that hopefully after this, seminar here, you'll be talking to. So you're going to get their assets. I think it's a good opportunity for you to talk to their children also, because a lot of people will get the assets the first time, and then when they pass, the children are working with somebody else. But if they get introduced to you, and you're the person that was helping the parents, the opportunity to get them as clients now has just risen a little bit. So always make sure you're following it and knowing what they want to do with it. Have it all written out. If they allow you to share it with the kids, bring them in. Now you've become the go-to person for the next round.
Yeah, and also too, to help the widow or widower who lost a spouse, and then the paperwork and the options, and what the carriers provide in terms of, their transition to the spouse or the next generation is important as well. So, I got a little bit of time, so I'll share my personal story. So, we lost mom 4 years ago, lost dad a long time ago. I got 4 brothers. We just divided everything by 5, by 5. But mom, she had a little bit of Roth money, a little bit of qualified, non-qualified. I got my one brother in particular. He's very successful in his own field. It's just not financial services. And so, and she was working as an advisor. So I called him. I said, by the way, here's mom, had these accounts. The advisor's going to call you. I went through the various, with the Roth accounts, can be tax-free. And then, went through all the different things. And I go with the IRA, you might want to think about it because it's going to be taxable. And he just wasn't catching on. It was just kind of frustrating. So anyway, we got done. The phone was hung. Thankfully, my wife was in the kitchen. And I go, how can he not get this? And he's like, well, like my wife goes, you don't do it like everybody like you do. And so the idea here is that people will need help, and they're going to maybe often look to you for help. So I know you're shaking your head there. Do you experience that quite a bit, or what are some ways we can help, I guess? Yeah.
What I find with my workshops is we do an educational workshop with the intent of actually educating people on these things. And what we find is we're educating people in knowing that they can help.
Yeah, yeah.
That it's so much, they're so involved, there's so many things there. And I tell you, I wouldn't go to a dentist to build a house.
Yeah.
I would go to a contractor to help me figure out how to do my finances.
Yeah.
And if you're a specialist of some kind in the career that you have, that doesn't mean that you know how to plan for retirement.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, you need somebody to help you guide you through that, somebody you trust and has got fiduciary responsibilities.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. So the other thing too, if you have a client that has that situation, call Alan, call Wendy. Me and Wendy are kind of kindred spirits because we're probably nerds. There's one other that I would think of as well that's not in that group. Alan's in the cool kids club. But,
of course.
Anyways, the idea there is if you have we're a phone call away, right? And so with our network of, well, just our own sharing of knowledge, but our network of carrier partners, we'll do what's right for your clients, right? We're not going to lead them astray or give them that advice. Just lay the facts out so they can do what's best for them. So,
how many times a week do I come into your office and ask you a question? Multiple times a week.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
There's so much changing, and so Steve is a wealth of information. When the big beautiful bill came out, a day later, he was giving us snippets, and he keeps on, giving us snippets. So, yeah.
So not everyone works, obviously, but I just want to go back with there's a great transition too, by the way. So, the one big beautiful bill to come out, obviously, it impacts a lot of people, touches nearly everybody in the United States, but really some of the big winners, if you look at all these reasons here, are going to be middle income retirees. And that's going to be people between 80 to about 120 in income. And the reason why they're all listed here is the permanence of the 2017 tax rates in the brackets. So just right there was instant tax savings. The increase of the standard deduction, which is starting this year. What's tough is because you got some of these are temporary, some are permanent, some start this year, some start next year. But collectively, this is going to be a big win for many of the clients that you may be working with. The other one is the senior age bonus deduction. So if you're 60, you only have to check 2 check marks, 65 plus, and if you're single, earning less than $75,000, if you're joint earning less than $150,000, you get a $6,000 additional deduction on top of your age 65 plus, as well as your standard deduction, which actually you can stack these. So this was kind of a workaround to allow President Trump to deliver on his campaign promise to reduce taxes on Social Security. So having this deduction, I guess, allows people to do that. And we run some tax maps on some tax software we have, and you can save, the average retiree anywhere from $1,200 to $2,600 in taxes in this age range and income range. So it is significant. And then, however, it's only temporary. So we only have 3.5 more years ahead of us to work on this. At the end of 2028, that will go away. Yeah, go ahead.
So when it comes to something like the age and income requirement, so in terms of using that to provide value to our clients, what would we really, I know that we can share it with them, but what do they take to their financial or their CPA, like engineer, come tax time? Like what specific can we direct them with just to kind of drive them home?
So so SMS actually has 2 client-facing marketing pieces. One is an FAQ on the bonus deduction, and the other one is just how do these deductions kind of work together. A lot of it is just bringing value to the marketplace and just sharing and we bringing these ideas to people you may run into on how they could save. In this case, it could be a couple $100, it could be a couple $1,000, whatever their situation is, but just allow them to maybe put more money in their pocket, more income on a month-to-month basis, but also maybe get in front of their CPA or their tax advisor and maybe build a network out there as well. So a lot of it's just value-driven and being on top of what people are hearing, seeing, and then we want to do our part to bring value as well. So, that help at all? Or yeah. So, and tax advice. I did hear somebody say if you're moving qualified dollars, which qualified is 401k, 403b, IRA. If you're working in that area, in essence, you are giving tax advice because of the tax implications, because it is fully taxable. They're coming out, but you got to be careful. You can't cross you got to stay in your lane. You can't cross your expertise. But just being knowledgeable of taxes is important, I believe, and the fact that a lot of people, because they're maybe highly concentrated within 401k and IRA dollars, could be sitting on a tax time bomb and they don't even realize it. So. Oh, and then also too, the deduction starting next year, and then Roth conversions. We do a lot of Roth conversions at SMS. People are trying to de-risk their portfolio from taxes and becoming more diversified. So a lot of carriers now are allowing people to do Roth conversions within like a side contract, like a sister contract, and move dollars from a tax deferred to a tax-free environment.
Question.
Yeah.
The Roth conversion for someone who does not know anything about it.
Yeah.
Just dig a little deeper.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, great. So, the idea of the Roth conversion is, I got a little bit of time here. So, is basically, I mentioned earlier, with the advent of the 401k and IRA, the way they were marketed back in the 80s and 90s was, put money today, you'll be in a lower tax bracket when you retire. Well, we're seeing that's kind of the opposite. People are now retiring into a higher tax bracket when they were working. Plus, it was very easy for people to get into a 401k. You check a box, you click a screen on your computer, and all of a sudden now you're contributing through your employer, and you're making a match. So it's just you put one foot in front of the other, and now you wake up and you've got this sizable balance to work with. So those are great clients to have, by the way, because they're looking to maneuver these dollars at retirement. That being said, back in 1998, Congress introduced the Roth option. The Roth option was a tax-free option versus tax-deferred. So the idea is there's no tax benefits up front, so you pay tax on the money going in. But if you meet the qualifications, typically 5 years or 59.5 are the two main ones, then those dollars that come out are tax-free. So obviously it took a while for those dollars, or for that idea to kind of catch on, because people were so accustomed to tax deferral and the instant deduction up front versus pay tax now and get tax-free on the back end. Also too, at the very beginning, there was some income qualifications in order to do a conversion. So there's two ways to get money into a Roth. You can put your normal $6,000 per year in, or you can take existing IRA dollars in traditional IRAs and pay the tax and convert them to a Roth. And so that's what we're seeing today, because in 2010, the IRS removed the income limits. So now really anybody can do a Roth conversion. So if you've got, say 90% of your wealth tied to a traditional IRA and want to do diversification, then you can do either incremental or lump sum movements from the IRA. You pay the tax, and then after 5 years, it becomes a tax-free distribution. So the idea of just creating more tax diversification and hopefully greater income, better outcomes in retirement as well. So
That's another big thing is pass that bill where now you leave this money to your kids in a regular IRA or 401k, they got to deplete it in 10 years.
Yeah. So a great point there. So when you leave IRA assets to your kids, you're basically transferring that burden to them. So they've got to pay that tax bill, and they have a 10-year window to do that. With the Roth, it's a tax-free
Inheritance.
Inheritance, and then it's still at the end of 10 years, but you don't have the annual 10-year, the payout. Yeah, no RMDs. So it's just a very powerful way to diversify, and a bit kind of what we're seeing now is because 401ks, because they were marketed so successfully, and so many people built good habits and use that as their primary way to save for money. It's just another way to help people have a better retirement. This was like a tax angle. So, but we've got tons of there's tons of stuff out there. We've got some client-facing materials. The carriers do a lot on their side to help us out as well. So, and also too with the new one big bill and that deduction, you have to be careful because if you do too many conversions, you're gonna lose that deduction because if you go over 150 on your joint income tax return. So you kind of got to be careful in that respect as well. So, so we've got access to tax software. We can help you on those situations. So, and then finally here, oops, I'll get us back on track. How many people got the email from the government last Thursday or Friday, or even saw it? So this was what I got. So it hit my email box. So Social Security, once again, top of mind, very current, August 14th. Today we celebrate the 90th anniversary. So it just goes over the challenges. One thing about Social Security, they're very transparent and very forthcoming with the challenges and what they see. So it says right there, over 3 million people have Social Security numbers, $1.6 trillion in benefits every year, and it goes through the reduction of benefit after 2034. So Social Security will be top of mind for many of the people that you talk to. So we've got ways to help out there as well. So, so this was just basically an opportunity to see what we see in the marketplace, and then we'll get into more of the nuts and bolts here in a moment. But we want to kind of lay the landscape in terms of what we're seeing in terms of legislative, economic, Social Security, all those things that come together to impact people who are in retirement. So hopefully you thought it was helpful. So also too, if you want the slides, I'm going to send them to Gary. Then he can get. I see a lot of people taking screenshots and whatnot. So we want to just give these to you and know. And then you got this, right?
We got this.
Or we got this.
We got this.
So, anything you want to add? So.
Well, it was brought up. Yeah. I think one of the keys on that Roth conversion is it's usually when somebody inherits an IRA, they're usually at their highest income point in their lives. They're going to be in their 50s or 60s and they're going to be making the most money. That 10-year requirement is going to put them into a different level. So converting into a Roth, it doesn't affect you. So that was perfect to bring up. And then the other thing is when you convert to a Roth, the RMDs are no longer required. You can leave that money alone and take it out when you want to, or if you're doing it for a legacy, just leave it for the next generation.
Yeah. Anyway, any questions? Any scared? Any people scared because we're a little too deep? So, all right, we're gonna deep. We're gonna come back for some air right now. So
you don't have to have this, down. Hopefully you learn a lot from this next 2 days, but there's a lot of things that can feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
The one thing about annuities is you don't have to know how the watch is made. You just need to know how the watch works, how it will benefit the client. So if you get overwhelmed and you need more information, just give us a call. We can go over it one-on-one with you.
Yeah.
So,
and the way we built the agenda too, like I get the fun part, I guess the not so fun part of building the foundation, in the morning here. So this is all just, information to help you maybe understand this afternoon when we get into sales concepts or the carriers come up and talk about what they can offer, is it has some sort of context. So we just don't want to just deliver some random, sales concepts and positioning without having a context. So I just want to kind of go through that in terms of working with the senior client. So and why, and also too, when you're reading these, why are annuities so popular? Well, it's because of demographics and because of favorable economic conditions and because of what we're seeing out there. But yeah, go ahead.
When you use the acronyms, could you say exactly what it is? For example, RMBs.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay. All right. So, no, yeah. So RMDs stands for Required Minimum Distributions. And so what that is, it's actually forced liquidation from people that have money in IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, anything that's tax deferred. So there's a formula that the IRS has. It's basically their 1231 balance from the previous year, and there's a life expectancy table. So why that's important is because people are forced to take it out. Now there are some things that people can do with it. They can just spend it, they can reinvest it, or they can buy insurance products. But the big thing is that a lot of the clients that you talk to that are in that age range may have questions about that. So I did say when I got into the business, probably for the first 30 years I was in the business, the age truly was 70 and a half. And so is that why it was 70 and a half? I have no idea, but that was what they picked. Then with the first Secure Act in 2019, the IRS changed it to 72. So then you got to learn a whole new number, and you kind of update all your marketing materials, and then 2 years later they changed it to, oh, I have two new numbers, one's 73 and the other is 75. So if you're born after 1960, your new age is 1970 or age 75. If it's before, it's going to be 73. But the idea there is that a lot of your clients now are going to get letters from their 401 or IRA providers just saying, hey, this is, you have to do your RMD for the year, this is much you have to take out. But it may lead to some questions that your senior age clients would have, because it does, it's just basically a way. So the IRAs were never designed to be a permanent like tax deferral. So it's a way to kind of get money into the system, from all these deferred balances. So, and I need to add that slide back. We actually have a slide that shows the growth of IRA and 401k balances over the last 20 years. It's remarkable. It's just a big, and so it's like $30 trillion right now are in IRA and 401k dollars, which then go into annuities because of what annuities can provide. About $30 trillion. Yep. So.
And if you can get 1% of that, no.
Yeah. So, any other questions? So, I just want to lay the foundation. So, what we talk about, today and tomorrow has greater context. So, how is the bingo going?
Good.
Okay.
You got 3?
You got 3. All right. Good for you. So, yeah, one more. Yeah.
I just want to make sure I have the clear understanding of the RMDs, the required minimum distribution, right? So is this a recurring thing that's occurring? So is this every single year?
Every single.
They have a specific amount that needs to be taken out.
Yep.
And when that's taken out, that is tax deferred.
It's taxable.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's taxable.
taxable. Yeah. So I'm just going to use a nice round number of say $100,000, right? And so let's just save $100,000 in your IRA. And let's just say it's 2025, and I'm 75. So I'm 75, I've got $100,000 in my IRA. So during 2025, because of my age and because I have this money in an IRA, the IRS is going to say you need to take money out of that. And there's the formula they have. It's the 12/31 balance. So it doesn't matter if you take out January 1 or December 31st, it's the same number the whole year. And they divide that by a number. It's called your life expectancy factor. So when you start out, it's about 4%, about 25, 26 is your factor. The older you get, that factor gets smaller and smaller. So the percentage you need to take out gets bigger and bigger. So to answer your second part of the question is, each year it does change based on your age for that year and based on how much money you have in your IRA, because the IRA can go up or down based on where those are.
So is that isolated to just a product like an IRA, where it comes like a Roth? You don't would you still have to?
Yeah. So that's why Roth are appealing, because Roths don't have RMDs.
Okay.
Because a Roth, if you meet the qualifications, is a tax-free. So the government is not benefiting from taking money out of Roth because there's no tax revenue for them. Yeah. So that's why they do like conversions, because people then will pay the tax up front as they move dollars from a traditional IRA to the Roth, because that is a taxable event.
And what does that rate look like? That rate that they would be paying on the taxes that they would be moving from an IRA to like a Roth?
So it depends on, so the rates right now are 10, 12, 22, 24%. Those are going to be the general rates. But a lot has to do with your deductions. And what's happening is these deductions now are starting to increase for the next 4 years. So actually, you don't hit that 10% until, it could be north of $48,000 for a joint couple. So, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Majorly.
Oh, yeah. Either one. Yeah.
Tying RMDs into Medicare and IRMA, so the RMDs do count on line 11 for the modified adjusted gross.
They do. Yeah.
Which in turn can affect their.
And so do Roth conversions. Yes. Yeah. All right. So here's something in your world right here. So, okay, you guys deal with IRMA, right?
Yeah.
So the income related
monthly adjustment.
Correct. It's a surcharge if your income exceeds certain thresholds on your Part B and your Part D premium. So I'm glad you brought this up, Brian. So where RMDs should come into play is because people think I've got this big IRA, and it could be, and we're seeing pretty significant IRA balances, by the way. But what happens is those RMDs get to be quite large, and now all of a sudden, not only are they paying tax on the money coming out of their IRA, their IRMA charges go up hand in hand.
Now, I appeal IRMA a lot for people that have them do it. However, you know, it's supposed to be an ordinary event, but if they're getting hit with RMDs coming later in life,
Yeah.
it's not an uncommon event.
No,
So
no.
You're not allowed to appeal it then. If you start
Yeah.
getting 75, 6, 70, you're starting to kick out.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why RMD. That's why the Roth conversion. You gotta be careful with Roth conversions too, because you lose what you pay IRMA, then you lose that deduction. So you gotta be careful. We can help you if you have a client. That's the idea. We can help you. We're here to help. Yeah,
With IRAs and 401ks both subject to the RMDs?
they are. Yeah, and 403Bs, 457s, anything that's tax deferred. Yeah, anything that's tax deferred is subject to RMDs.
So in other words, converted to the Roth, you pay taxes, but you end up paying less
Potentially. Yeah.
as if you stay into an IRA down the road.
Down the road, potentially. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you move to the Roth, do you pay the taxes up front?
You do.
Yes.
You do. Yeah. Yeah. All good questions.
Overall, potentially you pay less overall.
All right. So the good thing is we got the hardest part out. Everything else is that we're going to be real relaxed. All right. So we got it all taken care of. All right. So into annuities, the idea here is to kind of set the stage for what Alan's going to talk about, but also this afternoon, as I said, with our carriers and the sales concept. So I'm very, very respectful, of everyone's knowledge. If you have questions, let us know. We've got people we can lean on here. So what is an annuity? So when your clients are working or saving, they do offer many valuable, and this is what I think people need to grasp is that stuff we went through earlier today. I mean, it does matter because it's important, but at the end of the day, we're just trying to offer solutions to help people have a more successful retirement. And so I want to kind of explain what annuity is. So this is kind of a broad statement comparing, say, my grandparents' generation to my generation. But if you go back here on the left here, you see the retirement landscape, say 20, 30, 40 years ago. Social Security, pension, and a little bit of savings could get you a long way. Very, 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 very well, right? What happened to pensions back in the 1980s? Yeah, down the toilet, or they quit offering them. The public sector still has pensions. A few large corporations have pensions, but for the most part, the pensions now are replaced by the 401k. So people were on their own to provide for their economic future in retirement. So that's why it was cheaper for these companies to offer a 401k plan than was a pension. And that's why we're seeing today, the other thing we're seeing today is, if you think about it, if somebody started their career in 1980, let's just say they were mid-career in 1980 and they retired in 2000, they only had 20 years to save within their employer plan. And it was on the back half of their career. So I know when I talked to the marketers from 20 years ago, if they got a $200,000 ticket, that was like Willy Wonka level. Like that was like it never happened. Well, now we see 200,000 tickets a lot because of two things. One is the market growth, but also two, you got somebody retired today, had their entire career to save within their 401k plan at work. And so this is some of the demographic changes. So really what's been happening is the ground's shifting on our feet. We didn't even see it. And now we're seeing people today retire with significant 401k dollars. This is where we want to help. Put a portion of those dollars into a new solution to help them with income and protection from the market. Does that make sense? So obviously now personal savings is a much higher percentage of that. So I actually had to borrow this from Ed Slott. I listened to Ed Slott webinar last week. He's an influencer in our space. He said there's two halves. There's two halves to retirement. He said growing it and getting it out. So what do we help, in the people, what do we help, what side of things we help them with? And actually both, yeah. So, and both, yeah. It depends. Accumulation or income. That's what we want to help people with. So either growing it or getting it out. So we already went through this, but here's a definition of annuities that you can use. So an annuity, it's long term. So I know we have, say, 2-year MIGAs, but generally we're looking at a 5, or 7, or 10-year commitment, from our client to put money into an annuity.
3 to 5.
3 to 5.
3 to 5.
Even on
Three-
FIs.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I say or 3 to 5 on MIGAs.
MIGAs.
7 to 10 on FIs.
Correct.
So the idea here is, we're not looking for, money market liquidity type thing. We're looking for people to put money in. They can afford to put money in for, 5 to 10 years. And so that's the number one thing is. The other thing too, it's offered by insurance companies. So I think that's part of the misnomer. We'll get into objections tomorrow, but only insurance companies can offer annuities, right? So credit unions can offer annuities, mutual fund companies, banks can offer them. Only insurance companies can offer annuities. But then the idea here is to help people manage financial risk. So don't you agree that retirement can be unpredictable, right? Okay, and one of the things that we want to help them with, them being the buying public, is negative outcomes in retirement as well as the future risks they may be faced with. So basically, annuities, and this should help you feel good about the products you represent. You're actually bringing financial security to people during an important time of their life. Okay, and so this is what should make you feel proud about what you do every single day. Is in addition to Medicare, which Medicare, we're in health and wealth IMO, right? Probably the best health and wealth IMO out there. But take care of the health side, make sure that's shored up, and then maybe get into the wealth side, which would be either accumulation or annuities. So yeah.
When I first told somebody what I was doing and got my license, I mentioned health, life, and annuities.
Yeah.
And they went, oh, wow, like I'd gotten into something. I was wondering where some of those strong, negative perceptions came from that people still hang on to.
They hang on to it. I think there's a lot of things. There's a lot of people in the public eye, and I'm going to name names. Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman,
Fisher.
Fisher. Fisher actually Fisher's a big investment guy. He actually sells annuities too. I think just people are so accustomed to putting money away for retirement, and this is what I think is important. Is people who are my age or younger, the best thing you can do is help them develop good savings habits, right? So, and put money away on a consistent basis, and hopefully, depending on their risk tolerance, can get those market returns and help grow their nest egg. But today we're helping people on the back end of things, getting the money out, and so and so also too we're going to go into also the history of annuities. If you go back 80 years ago, 70, like annuities, they truly were life only. So meaning the payout you got from the insurance company was based on your life. So there was nothing to leave for your spouse or your kids. A lot of that's changed, but a lot of people hold on to those old ideas. But that's one of the things where objections are going to be a big part of tomorrow is getting people to not only understand but embrace annuities and what they get, but focus on what they do, not the name of what it does.
When you say saving your money and getting your money out, those are the two parts. Sometimes when getting your money out, you're talking about getting it out of one product but into another.
Yeah.
So the conversions, okay.
Yeah.
As opposed to.
Yeah. So the conversation would go, the income floor concept, getting people to, do they need more guaranteed income? Well, there's only 3 places to get guaranteed income. We already covered one. What was that?
Social Security.
What was the other one? Pension and annuity. There's only 3 places to get contractual guaranteed income of those 3 places. So if Social Security doesn't cover them enough and they're getting a pension, they only have one more area to go, and that's the annuity. Or if they're nervous of the market volatility, we do have products that can protect them, whether it's a MIGA or an FIA, to help them sidestep those negative years and to give them, better outcomes. The idea here is managing risk, because insurance companies manage risk, right? We're not trying to, overwhelm. We have variable annuities, but anyways, the idea here is to help people with risks they're going to face, right? And those risks happen to be longevity, inflation, and market volatility. So everyone wants to live a long life. I think it's everyone, we got advances in technology, science, people are living healthier lifestyles. So people are living longer, right? But that puts a financial strain on their financial resources, because you're asking those dollars to replace their income every single year, and running out of money is a real risk and a real concern of many retirees. So once again, putting yourself in the shoes of the people you talk about every single day, and that may be one of the questions you can bring up, or one of the conversation starters is, in addition to your health concerns, are you concerned about outliving your money? And if they are, then you can then pivot to, and we've got our sales kit has conversation starters, questions to ask, objection busters. So everything is included in there. And so we want to not only equip you with some of the foundational knowledge, but also too, when you're in front of a client or prospect that, as Ellen said, checks that box, that we can, have that conversation with confidence. So, but I think people are alarmed, and these are people at age 65, is that if you have a married couple, they have a 50% chance that one of them will live to age 90. So that is a very real risk out there, because also too, longevity multiplies all the other risks they have, whether it's inflation risk, market risk, long-term care risk, because the longer you live, the more exposed to risk you are, okay? And then also too, 25% will live past 94. So people age 65, I think males it's 82 and women is 86. So also too, the definition of life expectancy. What is life expectancy by definition? What is that? That's the halfway point. That means if life expectancy is say 86, it means half the people live beyond age 86. So that's a huge part of the people you're out there. You're trying to help them, with longevity. And so having something that provides longevity protected lifetime income, such as an annuity, that's what's so powerful. And that's what should make you feel proud about these products that we talk about. All right. Inflation. So I won't divulge my age, but I'm 3 years away from being able to take money out of an IRA without the 10% penalty. So how about that? I'll let you guys figure it out. That being said, I grew up in the 70s. I was a child of the 70s, so I knew what like 18% inflation was. I lived that. I saw that. And then for 40 years, it was like 2 and 3. It was always maybe 0% some years. It just was never a really big risk. And then during COVID, because of the economic levers the government pulled, inflation spiked up out of the blue, right? So for people that are working, there's a lot of things we can do. We can adjust our lifestyle, maybe get a side gig, whatever it is, but we can adjust. But if you're a senior, and not all seniors on fixed income, but inflation is a very, very real risk for seniors because of the cost of medications or food or housing, whatever that is. So inflation is a big risk, and the longer you live, the more susceptible you are to inflation. So, and then finally, market volatility. So, which is once again, the market. And I did misspeak earlier. I said the market goes up. It does not go up every single year, but over time it goes up. But the idea here is that sometimes the older you get, that maybe your risk tolerance goes down, because you don't have enough time ahead of you to rebound from those negative years. So this actually is from one of the brochures that Alan's going to go through, but it's called, a lot of the names, the retirement risk zone, or the red zone, whatever you want to call it. But basically it's the 5 years before retirement, the 5 years after retirement. If the stock market, and if people have a lot of their money invested in the stock market, if there's a prolonged market downturn, that can have a devastating impact on their financial future, because their income base gets diminished and what they can pull out of there. And so I know it's been a number of years But how many people lived through the dot-com crash? Okay, and the '08 crisis. Yep. And then 2022 was kind of a blip, but 2022 was 20 plus negative returns in the market and like 18% bond rates. Both bonds and equities got hit in 2022. Now it's come back, but the idea here, and this is the market chart last 10 years, is that the market does not go up every single year, but over time it does go up. But as you can see, if you happen to retire at the wrong time, it's just bad luck. Like I can't control, what the market does day in and day out. So if I retire in a bad market, then that can do some devastating effects. That's why annuities then, for a portion of your dollars, can protect those dollars from the impact of the negative years. But also too, if you have an income rider, it can give income as well. So yeah.
Is there an age limit where you can start an annuity?
There is. So that's just why we call Alan. Yeah. So each carrier has different, and it's product specific too. So it may be 79, could be 80. We have one carrier goes to age 90. So it's generally going to be based on. So the question was, does age impact what products are available? And yes, it does. So there is typically a maximum age, and as well as a minimum age. Was you 50 years on the minimum?
No, some carriers are 40. Some you can write in the 30s. So it's carrier to carrier.
Yeah.
The limitations.
So if you get one and you're over that age limit for the RMD, they have to start immediately taking money out?
Yes, but they call those annuities that you would put that person RMD friendly. So they allow that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So a lot of the carriers they recognize the fact that the buying public that's going to buy their products is subject to RMDs. So they allow the RMDs to come out and not be subject to surrender charges. So, yeah. That help?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're fine. No, you're fine. So, all right. So do you want to cover this in your section, or do you want to talk about it now? The sequence of returns.
I can do it now.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were just talking about what the market.
This is in your packet, by the way.
Okay. So this is what I'm going to go over. So if everybody can get this out and go over it with me. The reason why I love secure annuities so much is because I actually had some clients that were getting ready to retire in 2008.
Oh, there it is.
And so I was meeting with them. They both had their money in the 401ks. And we were talking through it, and they were getting ready. I think 3 months later, they were going to retire. All of a sudden, the market just drops. And the market dropped over 34%. Their 401ks dropped 27%. And they were planning on taking 4% out a year. So in that first year, they were going to be down a third of their nest egg. And so both of them decided, you know what, we need to continue working for a little bit longer. So I would meet with them about every 4 months, every 6 months. How are things going? Where are we at? And he was always just so stressed. I never had a meeting with him where he didn't look worried. So about 18 months later, we didn't get it back to where it was, but we brought the nest egg up a little bit, and they decided to retire. 6 months later, he died of a heart attack. And I know, to this day, I always think that it was because of the stress that he was feeling in that time. Because he's like, we're not going to be able to do it. We're not going to make it. And I said, everything will be okay. It'll come back. And then a year later, without him, she passed. And so I lost two of my greatest clients in such a short amount of time. And I was thinking, if there was a product that could just guarantee you don't lose your principal, that would be fantastic. If it could guarantee an income, that would be fantastic. And what do we have today? Exactly that. So on this page right here, we see Susan and Joe. And Susan and Joe, I feel bad because I got to take my glasses off to see. Susan and Joe, if you look at the bottom of their colored columns, you can see that both of them have the same average return, okay? What they do to get that average return is they take Susan's column and they invert it. So you can see the top of her column is the bottom of Joe's column, okay? So Susan makes money initially when she starts to retire, and Joe loses money when he first starts to retire. Well, when that happens, the one thing is when you're taking money out, you don't have the time to make that money back. So you can see both of them have the same interest rate at the bottom as an average. But at 20 years later, Susan's balance is 1.7 million because she had an upmarket when she started. And Joe has a value of 362. That's a huge difference, okay? We actually have some of these that show Joe running out of money, you know, because he had a few, like 3 down years in a row, or 3 out of the first 4 years were down. And that just takes so much money out of your balance that isn't there now to work for you to get those gains when the market returns. So this is probably one of the most powerful pieces that we have, because when you talk to a client, and like Steven said, like Steve said, you don't know what the market's going to do as soon as you retire. You don't know what the market's going to do right before you retire. So putting them in a guaranteed income annuity is a great idea for them, because now we know, you know, when your money is in securities or in the market, it's a hope-so strategy. You hope it turns out right. But when you get an annuity, it's contractually guaranteed income. It's contractually guaranteed product. You know so. So that's the beauty of what we do is insurance agents, we can go out there and make a promise and keep it, where some of these other people, they cross their fingers and hope so.
Yep.
So is that a pretty good explanation of sequence of returns? Anybody have any questions?
Yeah. I know Tom, he's chomping the bit. What do you want?
No,
Good, okay. Yeah.
It's the crystal ball.
Yeah.
I'm gonna retire in 2035. That's when my retirement is gonna schedule account, everything's gonna be great,
Yep.
save money, I'm gonna have 1.2 million in the bank, and everything's gonna be fine. I'm gonna have it all set up in the bank. And then I retire in 2035, and in 2036, we're going to do a 3-year bear market.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, by 2040, 5 years later, I'm starting to look at my numbers and saying, I don't have it.
Yeah.
So where was the broker and the securities agent who had the crystal ball who could have predicted that after I retired, we're going to go into a bear market?
Yeah.
There just isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. And also it goes back to, I said, you know, the phases of retirement. If you think of the first half, right, you're basically building good habits, hopefully choose good places to put those dollars where you get some decent returns. But those returns come with risk, right? And so you have to absorb that. You can absorb that risk when you're younger because you have more time ahead of you and more time to adjust things. When you get older, your time frame shrinks. And so, and also too, when you're putting money in and the market takes a dip, you're buying more shares because it's a lower price. Whereas when you're retirement, it's the exact opposite, because if you're taking dollars out to maintain your lifestyle and the market goes down, you take actually more shares out to get what you need for your income. So it actually works against you in retirement. And these are real returns. These are not made up returns. These were real returns from 98 to 08, sorry. So real 20-year returns. But it's just the idea of sequence of returns risk. And so the financial risks that people have when they're working are much different than their retirement. So when you're working and having a family and a mortgage and stuff, it's life insurance, disability income, obviously a major medical. But when you retire and you've got this nest egg of money, which 30 years ago you didn't need to worry about because you had Uncle Sam and your company to pay for it. Well, now it's your own money. The idea changes. And so we need to help people manage this risk and to embrace solutions that will allow them to withstand some of these negative outcomes, which may or may not happen. Like, no one has a crystal ball on inflation, market volatility, how long they're going to live. If you told me how long you're going to live, I could put together a plan that was rock solid and give you the last dollar you spend is the last dollar that you're going to live on God's green earth. But without that knowledge, it's really a moving target. So what annuities provide is some type of predictability and sustainability that you can't get from other financial instruments. And we're not talking for the entire savings. We're looking for just a portion. That's why we've got the suitability department to determine how much we can put in. But the idea is just for a portion of their dollars to embrace these safe money solutions, whether it's income or protection. So anyways, this is how we help people. Yeah, go ahead.
What is the first investment amount here?
So on the front side, it does go through the, it's 500,000 with inflation of 3.5% and then a 4% first year. So every year that number goes up. So that first column there is how much money they're actually taking out, and how much income they're taking up, and then the impact of those returns on what that remaining balance is.
So how much they have to pay, what's the percentage every time they withdraw money?
Yeah, so basically if you take the 500,000 here, so 4% of 500,000 gets you your 20%, that's your base, or your 20,000, that's your baseline. So that number goes up by 3.5% every year. And so what happens then is you take that 500,000 is gonna earn 31.69, and then you're gonna take 20,000 out. So as long as your portfolio is earning more than you're taking out, then you're gonna be ahead of the game. What happens is if you have a negative year right out of the gate, in this case, the negative 31, you went from 500,000 to 295, plus you took your 20,000 out, which brings you down further. And to Tom's point, if you have 3 of those bad years in a row, like we saw in 08, 09, 010, then it could quite literally wipe you out where you have no money. Yeah, question.
The folks watching, would you mind when they ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to increase the volume.
Got it, okay. Yeah, so the question was, and we'll make sure you get these kits, on these example of sequence returns, what were the assumptions? So the assumptions was age 65, $500,000 starting portfolio, 4% baseline withdrawal, which is debatable, but used to be the industry standard, with an inflation of 3.5%, and then market returns from 98 to 08 in order of which they actually occurred, and then if we flip them and had the negative years early. So the idea here is when you're working, sequence returns is a meaningless concept because it does not matter. If you're putting money in, not taking money, it does not matter. It's when you take money out and not putting money in it, it's a huge impact. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I think one of the thoughts that's probably going through some of our heads here is what is the minimum you can start an annuity with?
Usually what, 5,000, I think? 20,000 maybe?
Well, it depends.
Yeah.
Repeat the question.
Oh, the question was, if you have a client, what is the minimum amount to put in? So I would say the majority of our business is called single premium. So we're looking to move existing dollars from where they're at today to a solution that fits them better based on these variables went through, whether it's inflation, market volatility, need for income, whatever that is. The minimum amount.
So if I have a single premium, the minimum amount will be $10,000. If I have somebody that wants to do a flexible premium or continue adding, qualified is $2,000 minimum, and then it would probably have, I think it's $100 a month added on to that. And the non-qualified, if they're going to add on to that, is $5,000 minimum with $100 a month added to that.
What is non-qualified?
Okay, so the qualified is if it's in a qualified account, which means it's tax deferred. Okay, so it would be an IRA, a simple IRA, a SEP IRA, something like that, 403B. It would be in a qualified. Non-qualified is just money that you have in a checking account.
Or a CD, yeah.
Or a CD.
Yeah. It's all right, I mean, take your thunder. All right, so we're going to get back on track here. So someone talked about earlier too, why annuities kind of get a bad rap out there. And it could be quite simply that somebody had a bad experience with an annuity 20 years ago, but also too, there's many types of annuities. There's variable annuities, there's index annuities, there's MYGAs, there's SPIAs. I kind of went in reverse. But the idea here is to plain label all annuities are bad based on one bad outcome or one bad carrier is unfortunate. So everyone's situation is different. So it's maybe important to maybe understand that client better. Why did they stay that? But also understand, why certain products are designed to meet certain needs. So we do not, when I say we, SMS does not, we do not participate in the far right, which is your index linked and your variable. Those are what we call registered products. You have to have a Series 6 or 63 or 65, and we don't have the mechanism to do that. We do a handful of what's called SPIAs, single premium immediate annuities. We do a handful every year. Once again, for the right client, right situation, it does make sense. We tend to stick with the MIGA and or the indexed annuity with an income rider. So, yeah.
From the chat room, this might be a question from a minute ago. Qualified means it qualifies for taxes later, or does it mean qualified means it qualifies for no taxes?
All right. So I went ahead in the slide deck. I'll get these out. I know we spent a lot of time talking about taxes earlier. That was not in my intent to derail things, but just to kind of give people perspective. So when you fill out paperwork or dealing with clients, they're going to have money in one of three places. One is, I'll start with the middle, qualified. So the majority of the people out there, I say majority, have what we call qualified. So when you hear the word qualified, think either IRA or 401k or perhaps 403b. So those are employer dollars, tax deferred. So the dollars going in receive some type of benefit in terms of a deduction on the front end. Going back to the non-qualified there in the brown, non-qualified is just dollars that are out there. It could be in a checking account, savings account, CD, a non-qualified brokerage. So those are dollars that have already been taxed. So we have what's called basis. So we don't want to tax people twice on the same dollar. So on the non-qualified, you got basis, and then only your earnings are taxable. So once again, there's some rules that you got to apply to, but it does impact a few things. One is your paperwork. So when you fill out the application, they're going to, when I say the carrier's going to know how do I treat this on the money come in, because they have to report that transaction to the IRS. Also, too, when they start taking the money out, they've got to report to the IRS. Okay, is this a taxable event, non-taxable, is it basis? So these words do have meaning, but I don't want to belabor this. So I do have 3 slides to go into the different things here, but I don't want to confuse people too much, but it does impact. So I don't want to belabor this. So, but yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Is a money market qualified or non-qualified funds?
Typically non-qualified, but you could have an IRA that's in a money market. You have somebody that retired and they need their $40,000 this year to live on, and they want to protect. They can put it in the money market today and still be qualified dollars. So the investment does not matter. It's the label. It's what we call the wrapper that we put around it matters. And so, So and also too, it depends on where these dollars are, of how we can move those from one solution to the next. So if they're in the market today through, say, a 401k or a brokerage account, and want to get them into annuity, then we've got to follow certain procedures to do that. So once again, I don't want to confuse people. The idea here is that it does matter, but if you have a question, give us a call. And I knew it can't get confused. I don't want to. Yeah, I can feel the room kind of getting burdened here. I don't want them to worry about it too much.
And that's
but it does matter. Yeah.
Wendy and I can help with that also. If you send us a statement, we can usually look at the statement, or you can look at the statement. The statement would be titled IRA for the benefit of the person's name. It's qualified. It's an IRA. If it says Roth IRA, you'll know it's in the Roth.
Yeah, I've been doing
and yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead. Question.
Before we move on, you said very small percentage are those immediate listings, immediates. What is that scenario?
Yeah. So good question. So actually, when I was at Mutual Mont, we actually sold SPIA. So a SPIA is what it is. I mean, $100,000, just use a round number. So if somebody has $100,000, they would give the money to the carrier. Then in return, based on which option they chose, as life only, they can do joint survivor life, installment refund, life with a period certain. So all those variables then impact. So they would get then money back, to them. So the idea there is you are protecting against longevity. So no matter how long you live, as long as that annuitant's alive, then that annuity will pay out. Since I've joined SMS, our preferred method is to use an indexed annuity with an income rider, because generally we feel we can give people more flexibility with that solution, because you do get guaranteed income, but you also get the money in the account that should have something happen to them early on, that still is in there as an account value.
What'd you call that?
What's that?
What'd you call that? Instead of just regular spend, what'd you say y'all use?
A fixed income with an income rider, which is nationwide. I mean, that's going to be their bread and butter. That's what they're known for. So, New Heights.
Sorry, the question was, you said it very rare.
Oh yeah. So a scenario that I would use, it would be a period certain. So think about people that want to delay Social Security, and say they want to retire, they're 60, but want to delay Social Security to 70. So they have a 10-year bridge that they need to create this income bridge, right? So in that situation, I would say as a planner, consider a 10-year period certain to guarantee income for that 10 years, but when that income stops, Social Security is going to take over. That's an example of where a SPIA may, but we do sell them based on the needs of that, what that agent wants to look for. But I would say the majority of our policies are going to be the income rider variety for people that are income oriented. So that help people? Yeah. So all right, so let's just focus on MIGA. 10 minutes here. MIGAs. So as I said earlier, that progression. If you're looking to just make an initial sale, find a neighbor, find a friend, find a relative. So what is a MIGA? So it's very simple, not a lot of moving parts. You're basically buying a rate for a set period of time. Usually 3 to 5 years is our bread and butter duration there. Just like your CD at the bank, think about that. So we'd have some conversations last night. How does it compare to money market? Is you're locking that money in versus having that money market go up and down. So the big thing is I think you want to focus on are the words. Your words you use are powerful. Contractual guarantees. In fact, you've got contractual guarantees by A-rated companies are very, very powerful and very, very strong. So also to a non-qualified, or actually all qualified, they do go tax deferred on that. So the benefits. So once again, we want to tout the benefits of our products versus the features and the other things that we talked about earlier. So the benefits of a MIGA. It's predictable, right? You know how much you're going to get for 3 or 5 or even longer, 7 years, maybe 10 years in some instances. So that earnings is guaranteed by the insurance company. So going back to my example, $100,000, if you're getting a 5% for 5 years, that means you're going to get $5,000 the first year and a little bit more based on the compounding generally after that. So you're going to walk away at the end of 5 years with possibly $130,000 if you don't take that money out, okay? It provides protection from market volatility, so you have to pay attention to the noise every single day, and the earnings grow tax deferred. Went through the taxes earlier, so if you have questions, let us know on that. So I do want to, once again, pull out some of the things we want to provide. Is also, too, if you have a question about MIGAs, we actually have a MIGA desk. So we have 2 people that actually, their sole job at SMS is to watch the MIGA market and to help you with the sale. So they put together this selling guide that has a lot of things that we're going to go through, whether it's the important considerations, the ideal prospect, some positioning language. So we want to realize we only have a day and a half to get together. We want to give you things that you can walk away with and read in your free time or create a study group and that. So anyways, want to bring that to your attention. That's going to be in the kits that we gave you there. So, all right. So when you're out there looking at the MIGAs, important considerations, carrier ratings. Why do carrier ratings matter? Carrier ratings. So carriers, S&P 500, Fitch, Moody's, these are independent ratings companies. Will go in and look at them on their variables and assign them a letter, typically A+, AAA rated, whatever. So the higher that rating, that means they've got better financial stability. So we generally promote A or higher companies. So that's generally our approach that we take at SMS. But these are companies that are going to be solvent, going to be around, and can deliver on their contractual guarantees.
Hey Steve, the carriers that are B-rated that offer a higher interest rate, what's your opinion on that?
Oh, jeez. Of course, you asked the hardest question of the day. I'm going to defer to Alan.
I got it. Okay. So we had a B++ rated carrier. And the reason why they were B++ is S&P thought they had too much investments in real estate. They were financially strong. You know, we did the due diligence, looked at them really hard and thought, this is a good company. So what did that company do? They wanted to be A-rated. We talked to them and they let us know. They sold off some of the real estate. S&P put them at an A-rated. Now they're an A-rated carrier. So there are some B++ carriers that have financial strength. If they're on the SMS site, if we're promoting them, I guarantee we did a ton of due diligence, looked at their financials, and they're strong because we do have, you know, we have one that's a B++. But for the most part, every carrier we have.
We want to be with solid company. So the other thing, Gary, is these are the words of a national influencer, not my words. Okay, if you're buying an annuity with income rider or SPIA, you want an A+ company because that's long. You want them to be around for 20, 30 years. If I'm buying a 2-year MIGA or a 3-year MIGA, and that company survives 3 years, do I really care? Because this guy says when you get an income rider, you're married to that company. If you're getting a 2-year MIGA or 3-year MIGA, you're only dating. So that's what's that? They go bankrupt. Yeah. Receivership, and then also Money of New York back in the 80s. So it does happen, but anyways. So this is, I think the Steve Rohrig had and the SMS had. I think the better the carrier rating, the better it is for the client. So I was repeating a national speaker, not me. So.
Perfect.
Access to funds, those are important. How much can you get out and when? We're going to talk about those tomorrow, or actually in terms of the objections. Some have nursing home confinement riders, and then the maturity option is, say you've got these are specific to MIGAs, by the way. So if you've got what's that?
They're specific
to MIGAs, yeah, these things here. These are some things that are going to be different based on carrier. So carrier may have different access to fund rules or different maturity options because how they can price the product and deliver that interest rate will impact some of these things on that. So anyways.
Let me,
About maturity options?
Oh, an MVA. So the idea there is a lot of people look at surrender charge alone and just say, I've got a 5-year surrender charge period. And it could be 8, 7, 6, 5, and then 0. Made up numbers, right? Some carriers will do what's called a market value adjustment. So if rates happen to go up, then they add an extra surrender charge above and beyond the surrender charge based on market conditions. And so
I just needed you to say market value adjustment. Bingo.
Got it. Oh!
Wait. You can only put his name twice. Did you hear this? How many people did you hear?
How many people can we use their name? How many times?
Twice.
Can we use Steve?
Sorry.
Oh.
2 times.
Only 2 times.
Okay.
So
Let me check it.
We can only
Here, I'll
use
check it.
Steve and Alan.
I only did 1.
Twice. Okay.
Where's your? Oh, here it is.
We could, wait, we can only have Steve's name.
Yeah, you have Steve's name 4 times.
So?
You can only use one person.
Can we give 2? Can we give 2 prizes out, Betty? I've seen that closet there.
She has your name on every one of them.
He's the only one that
All right. Well, you don't have bingo yet. Wait. Well,
it's all right. So Betty was nice enough to have the game. So her rules were maximum, and unfortunately, I've been the only speaker.
I was paying attention.
I know. All right. So let's hit through the rules. You got to have 2.
Once Lori was paying attention.
You got to have 2.
She wasn't chirping.
2. All right.
okay. Well, we'll look at it. We have a break coming up here.
Yeah.
We'll let Steve finish the MIGAs, and then we'll take a look.
Yeah. So when you're out there meeting with clients in your community on MedSup, here's the client profile for a MIGA buyer, right? They're very conservative. They want guarantees. They like simple. They like moving parts. They want predictability and then certainty. So I did provide here, why people choose, the guarantees, the safety, no fees, no charges. But also too, we're going to be sprinkling in some sales ideas and concepts. So we had these lumped together in kind of a transition phrase. So people are known for Medicare, right? So we have one agent that says we're going to just change gears here after of course, with the MA and the Med Sub, I be careful because of the different rules in terms of cross sell. But just assuming that we're respectful of those rules, we can transfer it to a new, so we have one agent that says, I just want to change gears here, change topics, and talk about another area that I help my clients with, and that's going to be with their savings. In addition to Medicare, I specialize in helping people convert some of their savings. It says one of the areas I do a lot of work in is help people, in addition to Medicare, is help people with their retirement savings. Or if you're not comfortable with that, and say because maybe you've never sold an annuity before, one of the areas my firm does a lot of work in. So it expands just beyond you or the company I represent, because now you're pulling in, or my team. These are just ways to get your clients to open up and see you besides something that's just a Medicare only approach. So also too, we talked about maybe pre-qualifying that person because perhaps they have an advisor that they trust, or their nephew or niece or something who's in the business as well. So just, are you currently working with an advisor? Yes or no? Just way you kind of pre-qualify them. That's where you kind of know up front. Or have you spoken to a retirement expert? I like that because maybe they're really good on the growing years, right? Put money in, picking really good portfolios, but they're not really good on helping money come out and protecting against the risk there. So, and then you're happy with your returns, looking for a better rate of return, maybe that CD approach too. And we'll get these to you as well. And finally, too, do they have access to Mark's email?
That's what I was just going to
Oh,
say.
got it. You take over from here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mark Cavallari, he's our MIGA Mark. Every week he puts together a newsletter, an email that comes to you. What it would have is all the top rates. It'll go, the 2-year, the 3-year, the 5-year, the 7-year, the 10-year. On that sheet, they have what is the minimum or what is the maximum age that can get that annuity? What is the minimum premium that is needed to get that annuity? What the distribution options are, if you can get anything out, if you can get 0% the first year and 5% the second year, or whatever the distributions can be. It has what the carrier's rating is. So it's a lot of great information. If you want to get on that newsletter, my email is on the card that I handed out to everybody. Just send me an email saying, can you put me on MIGA Mark's newsletter, and you will start getting it every Monday. You got it.
All right.
Oh,
just the
well,
red,
hey, wait. What do I push?
The arrow right there.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I was saying. Here's the carrier. Here's the rating. Here's the max age, minimum premium, the length of time, the free withdrawal, year 1, year 2, and after, the last change, and then what the current rate is right there. And yeah, you get this every week, and if you have any questions about that, give us a call, or Mark Cavallari's information is right there also. Yeah.
What are the rates tied to? Are they tied to any particular index that they're tied to?
That's a great question, and I'll just say it this simply. No. Because sometimes you'll see a company that, let's say Sagicor, for example, let's say they were at 5.5%, and the next closest might be at 5.2%. A carrier might be just wanting to get some extra business, and so they'll keep that higher rate for a limited amount of time until they fill up that book that they're looking for, and then they'll drop it.
Yeah.
So it's not tied to anything. It's usually, everybody's going to be around the same amount, but if you see something that spikes up on an A-rated carrier, I can guarantee it's not going to last for a long period of time. So if you have a client that's interested in it, let us, get working on it.
Yeah. So it's tied to what's called their general account. I'm getting kind of nerdy here. So general account is, so insurance companies will typically buy bonds, whether it's corporate bonds or government bonds. That's called their general account. So it's going to be a blend of different maturities, different whatever they buy. So then they take whatever they feel they can credit to the client. That's where the rate comes from. So, but yeah, it's not tied to an index or anything. It's tied to whatever the company invests in typically. So,
Another question. If the insurance company should go out of business, right? There should be a state guarantee to it as well.
yeah. So state guarantee. Each state's different. Unfortunately, insurance laws prohibit us from from talking about the state guarantee with a client. If they ask, we can answer, but we cannot use any marketing materials. We can't use any sales language. But you mentioned the bankers, Colorado bankers, and then one other money of New York. So it does happen. It can happen. It gives people the warm fuzzies because they can get something back from the state. Hopefully, that's a last resort versus that's another way. That's why we work with A plus carriers that are solid financially or something. So there's another one called the Comdex, which is another rating as well. So, but hopefully, I know we went through some of the sales concepts, but the idea here was what a MIGA is, who buys MIGA, but also give people the landscape of market volatility and risk and why we're here to help people and make you feel proud about what annuities do offer in terms of the clients that you serve based on their age. And it's a great time because there's a lot of people with a lot of money who are 65 plus. So they all live in Florida too, by the way. But anyways, but we're going to break a 15-minute break, and then we're going to switch gears. We're going to elevate our knowledge, get into what's called the index world, which is a little more sophisticated product than the MIGA. But Alan does a great job of explaining that. Yeah. So.
Can you go
Yeah.
back to the client profile?
So, yes, can you No, we're gonna ask you to introduce yourself. How many years you've been in the business, who you're with, and what your level of understanding on annuities is on a scale of 1 to 4.
Okay, great. Hey, good morning, everybody. My name's Rich Scimenti. I'm a 16-year veteran, at least of the insurance business. Worked corporate for 30-some years before that. Got to do this on my own, set my own schedule, be my own man. Nobody's pushing me what I have to do, other than my wife, me. So I enjoy doing this. I primarily write Medicare, write some underage health, and I've probably written $3 or $4 million in annuities over my time, but I want to do that a year. So help me get there.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. Okay, so before I start talking about fixed index annuities, let's talk about what you need to do in order to be able to sell fixed index annuities or annuities in general. Okay, so there is a state requirement. It's called best interest training, and I usually have my people go to Reg Ed, and it's course 490, but that is also state by state. Most states are 490, so if you have it in one state, you're selling in another state, you should be good. But before you do, just give me a call. I'll double check that. The next thing you have to do is you have to have your AML up to date. Every 2 years, AML needs to be up to date. And then before you sell any insurance product, they have that in annuity product training. And that's for every different annuity. So if you sell 3 different annuities with XYZ company, you have to do the training for all 3 of those products.
Did you say best interest is called best interest training? Or
Best interest, it has best interest in it. It's just the state required training. And if you go into Reg Ed, it's for Florida, it's course 490. 490.
490?
Course 490.
490 or 90?
490. Okay. So we're going to talk about the fixed index annuity. So what the fixed index annuity is, it's again an insurance product. So it has some contractual guarantees, which is nice. But the gains are tied to an index. Now, what's an index? The index that we hear most about is the S&P 500. It's just a group of equities, really, put together to make an index. The difference between an investment product and an insurance product is the money can't be commingled. So your investment products, that's an investment, this is an index, or that's a mutual fund and this is an index, okay? So they are very mirrored to one another, and we have a lot of really great money management companies that are putting indexes together. So that's the difference between the two. So the fixed index annuity, your gains are tied to whatever the gains that index has. All right. So Steve talked about how just the golden age. And as you can see here, last year we set another record for FIA sales. It's going up every year. More people are liking this idea of the contractual guarantees. They're liking the ideas of retaining that principal, not having the losses when the market goes down. And more people are actually getting into the side of fixed index annuities are good. Now, we talked about a couple of groups that don't care for annuities too much, and I have my own opinion on those companies. And what I've noticed mostly is if they don't make as much money selling those products, they're going to defer away from those products. They're going to say, let's not do annuities, let's put your assets under management because we can do better for ourselves. I went up against a couple of the Ramsey people, and there was a Ramsey advisor. I don't know if I should even say that. There's a Ramsey advisor in California that had $2 million of a client's money. And over a couple of years, the client actually lost $9,000. Where if they were just in the market, just a simple S&P fund, they would have been up $200,000. But the agent made $120,000 in fees. So he did pretty good, So, when people say negative things about annuities, I just kind of take it with a grain of salt, see who it's from, what can they sell, what can't they sell, okay? So annuities are growing up. The demand for annuities is going up. They have a lot of riders that they're putting onto them now. So if you want to create an annuity, protecting the principal and giving, a larger legacy, even if the market doesn't do anything, even if the market stays flat, I can give a larger legacy to my beneficiaries. They have income riders where you can put money in, get a bonus on the income account, and get a roll up every year until that client starts taking the money out or up to a specified period. So even if the market goes down every year, their income account can grow, and then they'll take the money out of that account, and it'll be higher than if they just had it, in a non-protected investment. And LIMRA predicts innovative index designs. Competitive participation rates will keep FIA sales above $100 billion in 2025. So again, continuing the momentum, continuing to grow. Working with strong companies. You have companies like BlackRock promoting fixed index annuities. They're the largest money manager in the world. I think they have a third, even maybe more, of all the dollars that are invested somehow go through the BlackRock organization. Roger Ibbotson, a brilliant mind, Yale professor. You'll see him on CNBC every once in a while. He looks at fixed index annuities as a bond alternative. So you have top people. We have people like Jeremy Siegel, teaches at Wharton School of Business. He's on CNBC all the time. He controls one of the indexes that the company uses. Roger Ibbotson runs one of the indexes that some of these companies use. So brilliant minds in the index community. All right, so the benefits of a fixed index annuity. Protection. If the market goes down 40% and you have your money into a fixed index annuity, you don't lose anything. I mean, there's nothing better than that. Growth potential. Well, our index or our annuity is tied to this index. If that index goes up, we take those gains, we put it into our annuity. Now those gains are protected also. They're tax deferred. Even if it's a non-qualified account, it's still tax deferred. If it's qualified, it would be tax deferred also in a couple of different ways. But putting money in as a non-qualified option to get the tax deferred growth is fantastic. And flexible income options. We talked about the SPIA. One of the negative things about the SPIA that we were kind of talking about is longevity. So it used to be if you put money into a SPIA and your life expectancy, let's say, was 86, and if you lived to 90, you made out to the better. If you lived to 75, the insurance company made out to the better. So fixed index annuities, they don't have that benefit ending at that particular time. So if I do a income rider on my fixed index annuity and I start taking the payments out and I die, my beneficiaries would get left that's in that account value or death benefit value. So it's not a use it or lose it. It's kind of like hey, if you don't use it, the benefit's still here. And we'll go over, when we're talking about these things, we'll go over the illustrations and just kind of talk through them, how everything works. Usually the illustrations have a guaranteed version. If we get 0% interest, what's going to happen? They'll have this is what happened in the last 10 years if that's repeated, and then they'll have a controlled version. We can go over all those different scenarios. And what I like to do when I'm going over the illustrations is kind of talk to you like, what do you think the client's going to ask? And you're going to come up with some questions that you have that you think the client's going to ask, and I'm going to have some suggestions of things that get asked quite often. And the reason for that is when you're going out to talk to somebody about a fixed index annuity or any product like this is, think of their mindset. You're coming in to them and saying, hey, give me a portion of your nest egg and I'm going to protect it and I'm going to give you this amount, or I'm going to do this with it. And if they've been working with somebody for a long period of time and they don't know you, they got to feel that you are comfortable with the product. So learning about how the product works, knowing what the guarantees are, will make you feel more comfortable about what you're telling the clients that product will do. So the different types of annuities is we have variable annuities. Let me see how this, okay. So the first one on this bar is just a fixed annuity. This is kind of like the MYGA, okay? We know that it has a guaranteed interest rate and it's going to grow every year on a steady basis, okay? The benefits of a MYGA, contractually guaranteed, we know what it's going to do. The kind of the weaknesses of a MYGA is sometimes when interest rates are low, they don't even keep up with inflation. So there's good right now in MYGAs because interest rates are high. We know what it's going to do, but there are some limitations. If we look at a variable product, which is tied to the market, so we can have the ups and we can have the downs, and we can have the ups, and we can have the downs. So the good thing about this is you can have larger gains, but the negative is you can have losses in this. So what's a fixed index annuity do? Okay, fixed index annuity gives us the gains when the market goes up. We don't lose anything when the market goes down, and we go up from that point when the market goes up again. So we get the gains and not the losses. Okay. When I think about people who are in retirement age, one of the things I think about is where are they at that point in their lives, okay? Normally, they have worked for 40 years, gotten a steady paycheck, and all of a sudden they're getting ready to retire, and that steady paycheck is going away. They're looking for solutions to get them that steady paycheck, to continue on. And we talk about all the different needs. What I'm going to specifically talk about right now is the income rider. We talked about how before they had pensions, they had their Social Security, and they had their savings, and now pensions have gone away. Well, we look at a fixed index annuity with an income rider just like creating a pension for them, because it's doing the same thing. It's giving. We look at using a fixed index annuity as almost creating a pension for that person, because as Steve said, we have contractually guaranteed income in a few different sources. Pensions have gone away. If you ask somebody, and I have salespeople out there that say, don't you wish you had a pension? Something that you knew would last for your lifetime, or for you and your wife's lifetime, or you and your husband's lifetime, whatever the case may be. And it can be an individual, it can be joint. And they say, yeah, that would be fantastic. Well, that's a pivot to this product.
And I can help you create a pension-like product.
I mean, it does exactly the same thing. Yeah. And, Jake will be talking about the nationwide product here shortly, so I'm not going to say anything about that, but it's absolutely fantastic. It's really, really good. So does this all make sense? Fixed is kind of steady, but could be low. Variable, you can have those losses. And the fixed index, you get the gains, you don't take the losses.
And for a lot of learners, those kind of visuals are really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what is index-linked interest?
More of a statement. We'll probably get more into it with the objections and stuff tomorrow. But I know nothing, like I said, about annuities, but just applying mathematical common sense. When I talk to financial planners, they tend to steer away from fixed because our licensure doesn't allow us to write variable.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
We have to write the fixed.
Correct.
They tend to steer away from the fixed. But to me, when I look at stuff like that, it's like, why wouldn't you want a fixed? Because it doesn't take the nosedives where variables do.
Mm-hmm.
So tomorrow, I would like to get into some of that because for me, just applying common sense, it doesn't make any sense to do variable.
Right.
Yeah. And that's where I think the green cell, the sales kit, if you flip through, there's there's things you can in there, but ask and bring that out with your clients.
Yeah, but with a lot of financial planners, they're hell bent on variables for whatever reason.
Right.
And I've talked to several of them, and anyways.
What I have noticed in the industry is if I have somebody who's securities licensed and insurance licensed that is working with a broker-dealer or an RIA that allows them to sell insurance products, fixed index annuities are always part of their conversations. Always. Because they can do it. When I see somebody who kind of hesitates doing them, usually their hierarchy kind of suggests that they don't write them. Is that a good way to put that?
Yeah, or just they're so accustomed to the market and they feel that the market's always going to be there, which it may or may not be. But the older you get, you don't have that advantage of time. And for a portion of their dollars, protect it from volatility is such a, for the right client, is a great option. So,
Yeah. So, anyways.
and also how they get paid. They get paid on AUM. So if they move money out of an AUM model, then they're losing future AUM because it's, they
assets under management is AUM.
Sorry.
Thank you.
It's a fee-based investment. Okay, so if I put $100,000 in assets under management with a security licensed person, and they're making 1% on that, they're going to make $1,000 a year on that money under management. Okay.
Yeah, but if they go buy an annuity, then they no longer are making that 1%. So that also influences the behavior, or can influence the behavior, because they're looking at it from a revenue perspective. So,
Thank you.
not saying every advisor is that way, but it can influence.
Okay. So what is an index-linked interest? All right. So like I said, the index that we know mostly is the S&P 500. But you don't directly own the S&P 500. What the insurance company does is it buys call options in that index. All right? Call options are the right to exercise if it goes up, or right to collect the gains if that index goes up. That's the best way that I can put it without getting it confusing. So there's no direct ownership in the stock market. You only own an option to exercise and collect the gains if that index goes up. Does that make sense? Okay. S&P 500 and a lot of these carriers got smart and they started using proprietary indexes developed by insurance companies, and that's when they make these partnerships with those really smart guys on the financial side, putting indexes together. Now, that's done a couple of things. Those options for those proprietary indexes are lower, so they can buy more of them, right? And I'll get to that in just a second. I better not get ahead of myself. So this kind of talks about the index, and it's showing the index going up and the index going down. If I have that index directly, I can gain and I can lose. If I buy an option in it, then I only exercise the option when the index goes up, and when the index goes down, I just let the option cease. I just let it expire, and I don't do anything with it. So the general account, so for example, if I'm selling a 7-year fixed index annuity, as the insurance company, I'm going to buy a 7-year bond, okay? I'm going to go off a little bit, and this is kind of how I describe how a fixed index annuity works. So if I'm the client and I give my money to the insurance company to invest in an annuity, I say they put that money in a vault. The reason I use the word vault is because that money is protected, okay? It's always secure in that vault. That vault is used to buy quality bonds for the length of time that that annuity is in existence. If it's a 10-year, 10-year bonds, 7-year, 7-year bonds, okay? Those bonds earn an interest rate. Let's say that interest rate is 5%. I put $100,000 in there, I earn 5% every year. So that 5% is $5,000. What does the insurance company do with that money? Well, they do 3 things. First of all, they give a little bit to themselves to keep the lights on and the doors open, because we need those people to continue in business to keep our annuity going. The second thing they do is they pay themselves back for the commissions that they paid the insurance agent for selling that product. Those are all good things, right? No problem with that. But the bulk of that money, let's say it's $3,000 of that $5,000, is used to go buy the options in these indexes, okay? So they take that $3,000 And let's say that that index, the option price is $1,000, but I have $3,000. So I can actually buy 3 full options. So what does that mean? I have 3 full options. So if that index goes up 5%, I can collect that 5% 1, 2, 3 times. 15% gets added to my $100,000. Now I have $115,000 in my vault. And I do the same thing for the next year. I buy those options, right? Does that make sense? Okay. Now, I buy those options. The next year, the index drops 20%. I let them expire. I take the interest from the vault money, and I buy new options. Okay? Is that about right? Is that kind of a good scenario? Okay. I like using the vault because it makes our clients think, okay, it's safe, it's protected, it's secure. So that's that. All right, and gains are locked in. So you can see here it says end of period, okay? I don't put 1 year, 2 years, because the period can be variable. You know, you have some carriers that have 1 year and 2 year index terms. You have some that have 1 year and 3 year. You have some that go up to 5 years. So the length of term is whatever that period is. So if the length of term is 2 years, then here is 1 year and here is 2 years, okay? So whatever that index does in that period of time, that's what it gets locked in at. So here, okay, so what's that first line there?
So this is 0. Look, this is starting. This is your starting amount.
Okay, so
0.
this, okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
my starting amount.
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense
So
now.
it goes up for 2.
This is the first time I saw this slide.
Yeah.
This is the starting point, or I should say it's the first time I saw the slide animated.
Yeah.
And then the second dotted line is what the index is doing. So in our fixed index annuity, what will happen is at the end of that first period, we'll lock in that growth. The second year, we'll lock in the growth there. The next year, the index goes down. We still are at that same high point. Now, let's think about that for a second. If I put my money in just some regular investment, and I put $100,000 in there, and I lost 20%, let's say I'm down to $80,000. In this one, if that same thing happened, I'd still be at that $100,000. So when the index returns and starts to grow from there, I'm already starting from that higher point. I don't even need 25% to get back to even. You know, that's another beauty of fixed index annuities. We capture the gains when the market goes up, and we don't lose anything when the market goes down. Okay. So the amount of earnings depends on a few different things. We have.
I think Tom McQueen.
Okay.
So I noticed that from point, the first circle, it's flat all the way to another year. Is that because it doesn't recalculate after 12 months? It's not going up with it?
Right. So these are lengths of terms, okay? So at the end of the first period, whatever it grows to, it gets locked at that point. Okay?
So it doesn't grow up with it technically?
Well, see, you're loading me up with a question here because true for most carriers. Okay, true for most carriers. Most carriers, you're going to see, wait till the end of the term to see what the gains are. Okay? We actually work with a platform that has daily valuation added to their, so I can see what it's doing on a daily valuation. And we have some of the people.
In the client portal, can they see that, or does it?
Yeah, I can go right in there every day and see what the evening before would have closed at that point in time.
Okay. So
Now,
not like they have to wait a year before they see what they made.
Right. And Jake and Alex, I know those two are going to talk about some things on theirs about how they work. That's a little bit different. So I'm going to leave that for the carriers. This is just in general because if you're not writing those particular ones that have daily valuation, this is how it's going to work. So at the end of each term, it's locked in. Okay?
They'll lock in between them.
Right. Jake?
When you get back circle, it takes on down by 20%. It's gonna fall, stay at that blue line, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So Jake is going to talk about locking in privileges on his, because his has a unique feature on it. So let's say, for example, you have a 3-year term and you're 2.5 years into it and the market's doing really well, but you look at the horizon, you think things might get a little bit worse. I'm happy with where I am. Let me lock this in. You know, sorry, kind of rained it. Okay, good. Good. So this is pretty great for your clients that are retired. You know, they capture the gains when it goes up. They don't lose anything when it goes down. It's happy. So how do we calculate what the earnings are? Okay, so there's a couple of different things. A cap is a limit on what the growth can be. Okay, so let's say, for example, I have a 9% cap and the index goes up 12%. I'm capped at 9%. Okay, let's say that my cap is 9% and the index goes up 7%. I get all 7%. Okay, participation rate, that's kind of how I was talking about buying the options and how much you have. You could have participation rates as low as 40%. If a participation rate is 40%, if an index goes up 10%, you get 40% of that, or 4% added to your contract. And the spread, some companies will have a larger participation rate, but in order to get that larger participation rate, they might have a spread, and it could be, let's say, 1%. And at 1%, let's say that index goes up. Well, let me use round numbers because it'll make it easier for me. Let's say the index goes up 10%, you have a 200% participation rate, and they have a 1% spread. So you get 1% taken off, 9%, and then 200% of that for 18% added to your contract. So that spread is the first part that the insurance company takes, and then you get the rest. But what's great about a spread is a spread is a way for you to pay for a higher growth potential. So if I don't have the spread, let's say I was at 150% participation rate, but if I add that spread in there, you know, I go up to 250, you know, or something like that. So it just gives you growth potential. And when we're going over illustrations, I will definitely, you know, talk about the spreads and fees and things like that. Okay? The nice thing about spreads is they're only charged if there's a gain. So if the market goes down, you don't get hit with the spread. Okay? All right.
Yeah.
So how it works. All right. So we added something in here called a 7% trigger. What the trigger does is what insurance companies are doing are saying if that index, and they usually go with the S&P 500. If it is flat or earns 1 penny minimum, you get whatever that trigger rate is. If it's 7%, and if that index goes up 1 cent, you get 7% added to your annuity. Okay? So that's what the trigger is. So this is saying, what if we have a 10% growth, I have a 9% cap, a 50% par rate, and a 9% trigger. Okay? So on the 9% cap, I get 9% added to my contract. On the 50% par rate, it went up 10%, so I get 5% added to my contract. And on the trigger, it's over a penny, so I get 7% added to my contract. Okay? Let's take a look at if it's 24%. The 9% cap will still cap me at 9%. The 50% par rate will give me 12% added to my contract, and the 7% trigger will give me the 7%. Now, what if we have just a year? 4% growth, 9% cap, I get the 4%. 50% par rate, 2.5%. Or, I'm sorry, 2%. And the 7% trigger, I do get the 7%. So, you know, what's nice about fixed index annuities? Okay, let's go.
Why would it go 7% if it didn't get the 7%?
Because all they say is if it goes up 1 penny, you get 7%. Yeah, it triggers at the 1 penny mark. Okay. So the beauty of the fixed index annuity market now compared to what it was, a few years ago is I can diversify my premium into multiple indexes. Right? I don't have to put all my eggs into one basket. I can put it into annuity and they might have 5 really great index options and I can spread it out amongst those indexes. Now, one of the things that we as advisors get hit with is, where do I put that money? So I'm going to come up with that one pretty soon. So some of the innovations that the fixed index annuities have, lifetime withdrawal riders. So it's a guaranteed lifetime withdrawal benefit. I love that because if you, let's say you put money into a fixed index annuity, and let's say the worst thing happens, and the indexes go down every year for 10 years, and then you trigger your income. Okay, well your account value may have gone down, but they're giving you a contractually guaranteed income amount. So as you're taking that income out, if your account value goes down to 0, that income continues. Now, odds of that happening are pretty low. Market goes up and down, so those things could happen, but that's worst case scenario. You are saying that if the market goes down, I'm going to give you this income forever. If you run out of money, it's going to continue on. So that's a beautiful benefit. Nursing home and confinement multipliers. So some of the products will have, let's say you're taking out $20,000 a year, and all of a sudden you need to go into the nursing home, they'll give you a doubler. So you could get $20,000 a year, or did I say 20? $40,000 a year, okay? We have some annuities that you put in a dollar amount, and if you're healthy, they triple that amount for healthy people. And like if I put $100,000 in there, I have $300,000 worth of benefit. If you're standard, it would be 2 times. So if I put $100,000, I have $200,000 worth of benefit. So those are, just fixed index annuities. Again, they cover accumulation, lifetime income, legacy, 2-6 ADLs. So they do a lot of different things. If you ever have somebody who says, I can't get long-term care insurance, you guys can say, I might have a solution for you. And then we'll get some information and work on that.
Alan, how many carriers currently are offering the doubler for?
Oh. Well, I can say that I can say that we have 3 that we usually go to for that doubler. I don't know how many carriers actually have it, because what we'll go through Annuity Rate Watch and just see, who has the best income to start off with, and if they have a doubler on their product, that's what we're going to work with. And carriers change things up every once in a while, so that's why we're always looking at that. Because this week, this carrier could be better, and then these guys just increase their payout factor, or how much they'll give out of a percentage of your account value for your income. If they raise that up, well, now they might be the best this week. So we'll take a look at that, but there's about 3 that we work with mostly.
So what type of scrutiny is given to the actual health of these clients? I know it's mainly about their financial health, and if their finances can match that product, but with things like, the 2 out of 6 and the doubler, are they looking at all at the health profile of the client when that client is getting initiated?
Great question.
What is the question?
The question is, what kind of health scrutiny do the annuity companies look at to determine if we can give you a doubler? Okay? For the most part, annuity companies do not look at health, but they will have a delay on that doubler. So you might have to wait at least 3 years to get that doubler to take effect. Okay? We have some carriers that don't look at anything, but there are some health questions on the one that I said has, for standard people, it's a doubler, 2 times whatever they put in is their benefit amount. And for people who are a little bit healthier, they can get 3 times. There are some health questions in that annuity. That's with Global Atlantic. So if that's one that we're looking at, we would want to know, do you know anything about their health condition to kind of determine if they're going to get 2 or 3%? And I'm glad you asked about kind of an underwriting question, all right? So in fixed index annuities, the beauty of it is there's no underwriting. So the health conditions don't really matter, but they have a suitability requirement. And so carriers have different requirements for that suitability. I have some carriers that say, you know what, you can put as much money as you want into this annuity as long as you have $50,000 in another place. That's pretty lenient. I mean, that's easy. I have some carriers that say, if you want to put $100,000 in this annuity, you need to have $100,000 somewhere else. So there are those limitations. But once you know what the carrier suitability requirements are, you can go out there and kind of predetermine, okay, I know this carrier will allow me to put everything but $50,000 into this annuity, and you want to put in, $700,000. Do you have $750,000? Well, then you can do it, Or if I know that the carrier says I can put 60% of their net worth minus their house, minus their car into an annuity, I can see all those numbers and calculate it out and put 60% into that annuity. So yeah, that's the troubling part, is it's not uniform for every carrier. But the more money the client has, the higher that percentage goes for most of these carriers. So some of them, if you have under $100,000, they are very hard and fast on that 50% rule. You can only put 50% in there. But if it's over the 100,000, then it can kind of step up a little bit.
Some states have suitability requirements over and above carriers.
Yeah, everything's a state by state. There are things in Florida that I can't add to a contract if the person's over 65. So just knowing, what that carrier has for limited requirements, or what their maximum ages are for certain riders, it's kind of important. And that's all on the fact sheets with the different carriers, what they have. Okay, and so the multi-year crediting term. So what insurance companies found out is if they lengthen the time that the term is, if they go from a 1-year strategy to a 2-year strategy, or from a 1-year strategy to a 3-year strategy, those options cost less. So they can buy more. And that's the way we can get up to that 300% participation rate, 400% participation rate. So if they do a longer term, the options are cheaper, we can buy more, we can have a higher participation rate. And participation rate is just another word for multiplier. Okay? Makes it kind of easier to understand than par rate. Okay. Smart beta indices. So again, like I said, they're going out there and working with financial institutions that have been doing investments and things like that for years, putting together similar products as indexes, because as I said again, these are insurance products. Rule-based triggers. They have to rebalance their positions, and volatility controls. So volatility controls, that basically says what the index is going to do if the market does something volatile. So it'll trigger them in and out of the market, or it'll trigger stop losses and things like that. So there's a little bit of volatility controls, and maybe some of the gentlemen in the back and ladies in the back who are going to be presenting, if they have volatility controls on their indexes, they can explain it a little bit better than that. But it just makes it so it's not so volatile. It just keeps it more of a steady pace. All right, this is what I was talking about earlier. One of the most frequent calls I get post annuity sale is 1 year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, Alan, it's coming up for renewal. What should I put their money into? Which indexes should I use? Well, a lot of carriers are using algorithms to put together the perfect separation or the perfect portfolio. And so in this one, it's just showing 20% going to the UBS, 15% S&P, 15% NASDAQ. So it's already set up for you. And other carriers are doing preset strategies. And preset strategies, I think, are brilliant because what they do is the same thing that this one does, but at the end of the term, it rebalances it all. So you don't have, once you set it, you can forget it. Just if that's their strategy, if they want a growth strategy or balance strategy, you can just put it in there and let it go. So you don't have to kind of think about it. No, we're going to keep it in that strategy. And I like this because at the end of the term, let's say this one that has 20% in it does really great. And all of a sudden it grows to 32% of the entire portfolio. Well, next year it might not do so great. So what they're going to do is they're going to rebalance it, get it down to 20%, and throw that money around into the other ones to rebalance it to what this initially started at. So in the next year, maybe the AI-powered U.S. equity does better. Same thing. We don't know. If you ever seen one of those sheets that has all the different categories of investment products, large cap growth, small cap, all that kind of stuff, and everyone has a different color, it just looks like this quilt. Everything's all over the place. We never know which, index is going to do good from year to year. So it's nice to have it diversified. Diversified is one of the things Wendy and I always talk about. Because there's been times when one company will have this index that just goes off the chart. Everybody throws everything into that one index, and the next year it's down 20%. And the rest of the market, the rest of the indexes are doing fantastic. So don't chase, diversify is a really good way to go. All right. Power phrases. Reliability of income, the new ROI. That's one of yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Fixed income alternative. We were talking about creating a pension. Love that one. Zero is your hero. Market index drops, 20%. You don't lose a thing. Love that one. You don't have to regain your losses to get that back to positive territory. And that's what I talked about when the market drops. Any other, like an investment in a mutual fund, you need it to grow just to get back to where you were. A fixed index annuity, you're starting at that high point already. Okay? And now I'm going to open it up for a few questions because I think I finished a little early.
No, actually, it's 12:04.
Oh, I'm right on time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we can still take questions.
Well, I'll still take a couple of questions. Anybody has them?
Come on, anybody stump the chump? Come on.
Stump the chump. Oh, man.
That's a great question. I'll get back to you on that one.
That worked.
So thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
So lunch, yeah, go ahead, question.
Say y'all had these slides, we're gonna be able to get.
Yeah, I'll send them to Gary, he can disperse them out to everybody. So, and then the lunch is where breakfast was. So when you leave the room, veer off towards your right and then kind of curve around. And then please be back by 1 o'clock because we know Jake will be up and go through his stuff. So, which is like 55 minutes from now. So enjoy lunch and we'll see everybody this afternoon.